Welcome everybody to our partner conference. We're so excited for all of you to be here. We have so much to share with each and every one of you. There's some exciting developments happening in the world, and we want to show you the exciting developments that are happening with us and our partnership platform and how we can support each other into a global renaissance that is happening. And we are looking for change agents. We are looking for massive higher consciousness individuals who want to make a difference and elevate their business at the same time. And that's what we're going to be here today talking about. What are these changes looking like, why we need more superheroes than ever, and how GeniusU can be one of your partners as we go and build an ecosystem for you to thrive and do the best you can in making that difference. I'm going to go ahead and share some of my slides to give us a taste of what we are going to cover today. We are here for the partner conference. And of course, we have all heard about how AI is shifting things. Well, we're definitely going to talk about how to build a successful online business through partnerships and why this new renaissance is more important than ever and how this is one opportunity that we all get to benefit from. So are you ready? We are going to be spending 3 hours together. So at whatever time zone you are tuning in, we are together for 3 hours. We have amazing speakers that are coming. We have some amazing conversations about what are the unique tools and ways that you can actually leverage the ecosystem to support your business growth and so much more. My name is Jason Mark Campbell. I will be your host today, guiding you through this journey, giving you the smooth flow and making sure that everyone gets their questions answered, which one of the first things we need to discuss is how do we access this conference to make it the best experience possible? Well, we are going to be having a segment today that speaks about all the new immersive technologies that are coming out. We are just at the beginning of things such as augmented reality and virtual reality. And this is why, if you heard a term like the Metaverse, well, you're going to get an experience of the Metaverse here. If you're already inside our Metaverse experience, we're going to wave to you and say that you probably have your little avatar set up and you get to connect with other people. And if you haven't set it up yet, and maybe you're just watching this on the page, you might have seen that there's a prompt that suggests you on how to log in. Let me walk you through that process. That way, if this is your first time accessing the Metaverse, we're going to break the ice together and you'll get to have the full experience of this conference with us here. So with that, you might be at a page that looks something like this. And if that's the case, you're going to notice that there's an area that says enter the conference. If that orange button hadn't gotten your curiosity yet, well, I'm going to suggest you click on it if you haven't done so before. And as such, you'll be taken to this page where the first thing it says is do not skip this setup. So we won't do that. We're going to take this step by step. When you are here, make sure you're on a Chrome browser. If that's not the browser you're using, that'll be the most likelihood of you having success in this Metaverse experience. And when you are ready, you click enter and it will take you to this space to get yourself set up. So we're going to go with, oops. Now I bet it remembers who I am. And so it is logging me in automatically. Let's see here. We'll give it a moment to load in. And if that is happening, there we go. So no, this is good. It's going to load you in. And of course, you can do all the tests to make sure that the audio and the video works correctly. So step by step, it's going to ask you to allow the microphone. Of course, you're going to say yes. So that way you in the Metaverse and choose your ideal microphone. I will use my built-in speakers and I will see that I can test the audio. 1, 2, 1, 2. This is actually for my so I can hear the sound so I can move forward. Same with the microphone here, testing. And when I see that I can hear my voice, I can confirm. Now, this is where you want to make sure you can use the camera. Now, you have the option of using the camera or not. If you do, then do allow it. And if you prefer to just use a picture, you can actually add a picture instead. So it'll take you to the place. There you go. You can add a picture. Now I will turn on the web and it should give me a chance to set that up. There we go. We're going to say, yes, it's working. And here are the buttons you need to be aware of as you navigate here. So you're going to see that you can zoom in and out. All right. And you can move around with the arrows on your keyboard. And once that's done, you can actually come and experience the Metaverse, full 4D experience and it will look something like this. And one of the first things you'll probably notice when you log in is there's this handsome looking little genie. And I'm seeing a lot of people are right around this genie already. And if there is a voice that comes out of there and it seems familiar, well, it is my voice. But nonetheless, the biggest thing that you want to do is follow the instructions that get shared by the voice here, which number one thing it tells you is to click on this button at the bottom called Places. When you click here, it actually gives you a chance to open up all the list of places that you can go to. And if you haven't been guided to the main stage yet, that is going to be the best place for you to go if you want to hear this conference. So head your way either manually by walking, and I see Roger Hamilton's running around. And so everybody else is here. So you might make your way to the stage manually, or by just choosing main stage, it will take you there automatically. You say yes. And here we are. Now, it might be hard for you to see the stage, but remember, there's a button here that says Stage View. And by doing so, you get a front row seat of the conference. And there is a chat bubble that you'll want to open up at the same time. And inside the general chat, this is where a lot of the conversations are happening. So Aditi is here. We have Dr. Maharaja. We have a few other people that were here earlier, like Tosin. And so great to see everybody here. If you haven't had a chance to use the chat yet, this would be a good time to introduce yourself. And this is going to be how you get to experience today as part of the metaverse. If you click on any button or arrow, it'll allow you to move around and get off from the stage. And remember, as you want to consume some of the resources we're making available for you, such as the slides for today, well, guess what? They're right over here. And just by clicking on that, it'll actually give you a new tab so you can get the slides. We also have this opportunity for you to partner with us. Now, there's so many different ways that you can partner with our group, whether you're looking to be a city host, a country host, maybe you're just getting started as well. We want to have conversations with each and every one of you to see how we can partner. And you will hear through the presentations today why we need to be there for each other more than ever, find ways to partner, because we all have the same goal of making ourselves as a species level up. And you're going to hear so much more of that from Roger Hamilton today. And of course, we have some wonderful sponsors that you're going to see across the arena. So be sure to check out each of their booths. So we have free gifts. We have some different types of ways to assess your performance. If you are in project management, you'll see some of our amazing partner offers as well. And as you walk around, you'll see everything else that is available within our Metaverse ecosystem. If any of this seems intimidating and you want to have some additional support, by clicking Places is the safe place to go. And there is a help area. If you click on that button and you go to the help area, teleportation magic works just fine in the metaverse, no risk of injuries, and you will have a lovely support person here ready to answer your questions. So you can have a conversation here by clicking on the user and simply starting a chat. So our help desk is here to support you. They will initiate some conversations with you as well. You can say, "Hi, I need help." And of course, Aditi here from the GeniusU team will be ready to help. So we have a ton of people here at the help desk. Know that if you want to turn on your camera, you can click here and it'll actually turn your avatar into a little camera. And so you can see that I have a little icon. If you want to speak to people, you can turn on your microphone, and typically we'll speak to people near you. And even as you hover your box, you see how loud you're going to be. And you can even do some screen share, although I do not advise it. At this point, we just want to use the microphone, and that will be the key things you can do inside the metaverse. Now, of course, we are here to be at the main stage, so I'm going to make my way right back there, and I will have my chat opened up. I will go into stage view, and we're going to be ready for our kickoff speaker for today. A man that needs very little introduction, the man of the hour, the man behind the GeniusU, the wealth dynamics, and really kicking off this renaissance and bringing all the tools for our partner network to be able to have what is necessary to support us in the transformation that's happening around the world. So partners, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm welcome to Roger Hamilton to kick off our partner conference for today. Roger, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Jason, and welcome everyone to our partner conference. Well, we have got some incredible speakers who are going to be on today. I have got the first 30 minutes with you, and I also am going to come on later with Michelle as well. I'm in New York at the moment, meeting up with some amazing partners, and we also have got our team here at the moment. We've got Jennifer, Jason, that are leading all of our marketing and our product side. We have Erez, our CFO. We just had Eva here as well, our chief of staff, and we have been planning out the entire Genius plan through to 2030. Today is a very, very special day because we had a pre-launch for our VIPs several weeks ago for this partner launch today. And we are now going to be moving towards a very, very special time in the next couple of years. And so you have hit us at exactly the right time if you're wondering where the world is going with the singularity, where the world is going with what we have been preparing for the last decade. So where I'm going to start from is the fact that the entire Genie that we are was created as a response to this quote from Buckminster Fuller. This is from many years ago. This is when I was in Cambridge University studying architecture. This is in the late 1980s. So we're talking about 30 years ago. And I heard about this quote: whether it is to be utopia or oblivion will be a touch and go relay race right up to the final moment. Humanity is in a final exam as to whether or not it qualifies for continuous in the universe. Buckminster Fuller is an architect as well as a futurist, and he predicted that the growth in technology that we are seeing with the doubling of computing power every 18 months, that it would end up taking us to a place where we could either solve all the world's challenges, because as he said, all of the world's challenges are distribution challenges, right? When we say that there is poverty, it isn't that there isn't enough money, it's just not distributed effectively. Or when we say there's hunger, it's not that there isn't enough food, it's just not distributed properly. And he says that we already had the consciousness in the 1970s that should have been able to harness that technology, but it wasn't, right? So how do we go about accelerating our own consciousness so that we can end up winning what he calls the final exam and actually solve the world's challenges? That's how we know if we're doing it. Or the opposite of that is that we end up doing the opposite, which is having technology continue to accelerate without our ability to be able to harness it. And as a result, it ends up destroying us. And we know that this is one of the biggest concerns that people like Elon Musk have, that Stephen Hawking had as one of his kind of final words, was that as we move towards the singularity, AI is going to be either the best thing or worst thing that has happened for humanity. So we're seeing all of this happening right now. There was actually a group that I went and joined over a decade ago, which is called Singularity University. And it was for exactly this reason, to see if we could actually start raising our own consciousness. It was set up by Peter Diamandis and Ray Kurzweil. And what was very interesting about this is that the same people that set this up, the first CEO was Salim Ismail. He's now one of our faculty members. Peter is one of our faculty members. You can see Peter and Salim together in this video here called The Big Reset. It's been watched 1.4 million times in the last 4 months. There's going to be another video going up today on YouTube between myself and Peter. Today is the launch day of that video. And it's going to be all about the mindsets you need to be able to navigate through this time as well. But just to give you an idea of just how fast we are accelerating towards AI getting to a point where it becomes smarter than humans, which is really what the concept of the singularity is. Let me share with you how I look at the world as I wake up every morning. I basically, as you'll see on my Twitter feed, have got all of these connections that are coming through related to what is happening in the world and what's happening to AI as well. And by the way, you can follow along here because you'll see that if you go to my profile, which is basically just Roger Howard. In fact, let me show you. If you go to my profile here, which is my profile, here it is, then you'll see that on here, you can connect directly to my lists. And on my list here, there is one list here, which you can even subscribe to, called AI Revolution. This is where I am following on a day-by-day basis the changes that are happening within artificial intelligence, the speed with which we are seeing a shift and change in what's taking place out there as well. And it is moving massively fast. Like this last week especially, there has been a huge shift in what is possible. DALL-E 3 came out, which basically now is even better than Midjourney. We're seeing ChatGPT, which now basically is voice and visual enabled. We are also seeing like a whole new growth in deepfakes, in instant language translation. If you are not up to date with just how quickly things are changing here, this is the reason that we are having our Genius Metaverse mastermind as well as our VIP. Here's Lex Fridman. If you haven't seen his latest interview, is him in virtual reality interview, as you can see here, and basically already stepping into the future. And so it goes on. In fact, if I was to go onto my bookmarks here, this is where I am always tracking the latest things I'm sharing with my own mentor groups, right, within Crystal Circle, and also with in Bali later this month. Some of you are coming and joining us there. I'm going to be showcasing all of the tools, not only that you can be using, but the ways that we're using these tools to be educating the world and being growing our own consciousness as well, so that we're harnessing technology versus basically being annihilated by it. You're seeing here all of these different tools that I'm sharing that you can now basically design. I'm going to show you the second version of our Metaversity today, how we're designing the world in a way that allows all of us to be able to actually create our own global classrooms and to be able to teleport to any part of the world, and also to be able to time travel to any time in our history as well. So believe me, like, we are moving very, very quickly into a world of those who understand and are harnessing the tools that are available, and those who are not. Like, this is Midjourney actually creating 3D spaces now that we are actually going to be harnessing and bringing into all of our platforms as well. So this is the place to be. And I'm going to share with you exactly what we are doing to make sure that we are fulfilling on what Buckminster Fuller said was a solution to the final exam. What he said was, he said that with all of the growth of new technologies that are coming our way, the most important thing for us to do is to play the world game. He said the world game basically makes changing the world fun. He said, unless we as humans have a game to play where, number one, it's fun, so we actually find it more interesting to do than basically just going out and playing games that have no purpose, but where it has the purpose of making the world work for 100% of humanity. If we can do that, and at the same time, if we can do it where there's rules, which allows everyone to play, then of course we can then not only play ourselves, but invite others to come and play with us too. And he even gave us a clue as to how to play this game, because he never actually got us started. He passed away. He said that, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can kind of see what we have planned and what we're putting in place, given that we believe that that we're going to be hitting the singularity within the next 48 to 72 months. That means that it's going to be between the next 2 to 3 years, most likely, I think, by about 2025. And I'm not alone in that. Like, when talking with Ray Kurzweil, Peter Diamandis, they all are seeing an acceleration towards this. In fact, Elon Musk said that he thought that we'd hit the singularity by 2025. And I have a YouTube video about that as well. But you'll see here that what Buckminster Fuller said is, it is the integrity of each individual human that is the final exam. On personal integrity hangs humans' fate. So he talks about integrity the same way that we at Genius Group talk about genius. It's what makes you whole, and your genius makes you whole. As that saying goes, and it's really the way that we basically started Genius Group was off the back of a quote, which is, everyone is born a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll go through its whole life believing that it's stupid. Or as Buckminster Fuller says, it's education and the traditional education system that ends up de-geniusing us. So if you start from that place, which is that, okay, it's for each of us to ignite our own genius, one of the first things that we basically are doing in playing the world game is basically making sure that we are starting by ensuring everyone understands that they have their own genius. So what is that genius that actually makes them talented in a particular way? And how does that then grow into what we call the ikigai, which is your passions, your purpose, your vocation? The fact that we're all in this together, the stakes are high, time is short, and now it's time to play the game. You're seeing here on the left a book that's going to come out in January. It's called Genius Generation. This is the first book I've written in 10 years. My last book was in 2014. That was The Millionaire Master Plan, which became a New York Times bestseller. This one, Genius Generation, today's epic battle for the human soul, is about how we are seeing more and more divisions between ourselves. And as I say in the very first quote of the book says, if we grow divided by our differences, we lose the game. But if we become united by our uniqueness, we win. So this is about the fact that we are different from each other, but don't use our differences as a way to define us as different and to divide us. Actually use it as we can unite in teams, we can use the best of each other's talents, and then as a result, we can also focus on our own genius as well. And that's what we're doing within our teams, that's what we're doing within our partnerships, and it's what we're doing within the world game. We are designing, as you're going to hear from Jason, who is our head of product, a full genius journey, which allows every single person to follow the concept of the hero's journey. This is Joseph Campbell's concept. He says the hero's journey always begins one way or another, a guide must come to say, look, you're in Sleepyland, wake up, come on a trip. There is a whole aspect of your consciousness, your being, that's not being touched. So you're at home here, well, that's not enough for you to be there. And so it starts. So he's basically saying that we're all asleep. We need to be woken up. As you'll see here, as it goes through the 13th or the 12 steps to actually go through up to the 13th and back to the beginning of the hero's journey, it starts with the ordinary world, the call to adventure, but then the refusal of the call. So there's a very good chance that you have already been having a call from different directions to saying, hey, wake up, it's time for us to raise our own consciousness. And until we actually meet the mentor, we find the person that's going to inspire us. And that's what Genius Group's all about, bringing mentors that then connect to others, that then allows us to then cross the threshold and start the journey. This is the whole fundamental part of how we raise consciousness. It isn't happening by reading a book. It isn't happening by watching a movie. It's happening by going on a journey, and a journey that basically takes us through to the impact that we can then make. And so I basically believe that we are now in a world where the world needs more heroes. It needs more geniuses waking up, going on heroes' journeys. And that's what we have designed to take us to humanity 5.0. By the time we have more super intelligence coming and joining us, more intelligent than being, we want to make sure we're welcoming them with a high level of consciousness, which means that we should be in a place where we can play the world game. So I'm going to give you an overview of this world game and what we are currently doing with AI. And then later on, I'll go in more detail with Michelle and give you examples of it as well. But in summary, this world game is going to be played over the next 3 years. The world game is going to have every quarter, which means every 3 months, every season, we are going to have a new season of the world game that is going to grow on the one before. It's going to take us next year to 10 million students. It's going to take us to 100 million impacts. And I'm going to show you what I mean by an impact. You're going to see, as it says here, that we're in the 48-month countdown to the singularity. And this is the final straight of the final exam. And the real question is, where do you see yourself by 2025? If you're playing this world game with us, you can be building your business. You can be creating the lifestyle you want. You can be building the community you want to have and be part of the group of thought leaders and change makers that are changing the world. There are 6 pieces that actually make up our challenge in the next 12 months. The first is igniting the 10 million geniuses on the path to 100 million. We now have over 5 million students on our platform, and we're going to be doubling that up over the next 12 months. That's our goal. We're also going to be tracking income that our different groups are making, whether it's a particular city, a country, or a particular mentor who has a group that you're training up. We're going to have a simple, easy way that on GeniusU, you can actually track how much income you're generating. You can even post it anonymously, but we're going to have competitions and leaderboards on this. And then also the 100 million impacts that you can be making. And as I go through this, I'll show you basically who are our thought leaders that we're bringing on board, what is the personalized genius journey, and then how we're actually using our Genie AI and Genius Metiversity to make this happen, to build our global community of change makers. So our goal to continue to expand and grow is being led by an incredible team. You're going to be meeting with Jason fairly soon after we have our keynote speaker, Jeff Hayes, who is launching his book this week, The Entrepreneurial Brain. And you are going to be seeing how Jason is thinking about building out our entire platform is for us to be able to reach 100 million students. He's had experience already at Amazon marketplaces, at Expedia, at Walmart, of building the kind of platforms that actually go out to hundreds of millions of people. And more importantly than that, the way we're generating the income and impacts is taking the top leaders in the world. I put this photo here because these are 3 people that are involved in the world game. Peter Demandis is one of our faculty. So is Joe Polish. I was just with Joe last week, and I was with Peter and his officers at the beginning of the week. But also Tony Robbins, he set up a challenge which was called the 100 Billion Meals Challenge. He first of all started this with 100 million meals. It then became a billion meals. It's now 100 billion meals. We are going to be contributing impacts into the 100 billion meals challenge. In fact, Joel Jarvis, who runs the entire 100 billion meals challenge, I was with last Sunday, and we were mapping out how we are going to be ensuring that on GeniusU, every single time that someone is taking an action on that, we are triggering the impacts that are then going to be made. And we're going to be tracking it on a leaderboard. So you don't have to be worrying too much about the different elements. But if you actually see that there are city leaders, country leaders that are making pledges to be hitting 1 million meals that are going to be fed. And by the way, this is in the US and also around the world. So within the US that's Feeding America that is supporting this program, but all around the world, we have UNICEF that also is supporting this. And they are even matching on a dollar for dollar basis when they actually have people coming in to not just feed a child, but to save a child. There is a $100 package, which actually saves the life of a child who is malnourished, who is at the edge of death, and who actually is brought back to a place of nutrition through a package of about 3 months worth of food. And that whole packaging, when basically we're able to cover half of it, then UNICEF covers the other half. So the way that we are growing our platform in order to be able to make that difference, for us to be able to create wealth, but also contribute, for us to be able to support not just how we bring people out of poverty, but how we bring people out of hunger. That is something that we have always seen as a really important part of our future, is what the world game is then based on. And talking about Justice League of the right partners that are coming on board, I've already mentioned Peter Diamandis, Joe Polish. At the moment, Jeff Hayes is working together with the likes of Jay Abraham. Vern Harnish was with him recently. These are people, incredible content and tools that we'd like to bring on board with their best tools so that everyone everywhere can be learning from the best. You know, there are so many teachers out there that aren't yet part of the curriculum, yet they have millions of people that are following them. Robert Kiyosaki, another good example where all of his tools that are for kids, he has this whole Rich Kids Academy. This is about how we bring that on board. Jacqueline Novogratz, who is an incredible social entrepreneur and runs the Acumen Fund. We were with her earlier this year. Lynn Twist has always been a big supporter as well of the things that we're doing. And this is just a taste of the people that we are attracting in, using their tools and their content to be able to inspire others as well. And you're going to see that today, you're going to have an opportunity to meet some of our, what we call level 3 or level 4 partners, the ones that are bringing content in, the ones that are actually running countries. And we are looking for the right people showing up now that want to come join us for a particular country or for a particular program, because we are at the moment bringing the partners on board. This is the partner conference after all, for what's about to come. And you're going to hear a little later that when we go to Bali, we have got a packed Wealth Dynamics Masters taking place in the last week of October. We also have got our partner conference and Crystal Circle conference, where I'm going to be there together with that team. And you have an opportunity, if you are ready to jump on a plane and come out and join us, that if you're one of our top partners, then we'd like to invite you to be part of what we actually then unveil there in Bali as we launch this game as well. So like I said, this is every quarter we're going to be running this game. We're now into quarter 4, 2023. We have people who are coming in as city hosts. Here you can see Maharaj Siva, who we just saw was in our Metaversity. We have got Kawa, also city leader. These are people who are running different cities and bringing together their communities, who then access all of the content and the journeys that we're talking about as well. And like we said, the whole idea of the hero's journey is to link to the key aspect of Ikigai: what you love, which is your passions; what the world needs, which is your purpose; what you are good at, which is your genius; but also what you can be paid for, your vocation, right? So you link all of these elements together. And the genius journey we are going to be sharing a little bit with you later is how you walk through this pathway from discovering your genius to meeting your genie, and then choosing that journey and choosing your track. Is it going to be the basic track, fast track, or VIP track? Now, this is going to be in 2D and also in 3D. And like I said, I'm going to give you a taste in a moment of exactly what our Metaversity looks like and how it's now evolving. But one thing that I want to share with everyone is that we do have within our pathway a freemium part and a premium part. So if you haven't yet built out your entire plan that builds this out, we support you in doing this. And so the partners who are coming and joining us right now, they're having an opportunity to be part of the intake happening this quarter, and then the next intake is happening in January, and there'll be 4 intakes next year. And each intake, as it comes on board, gets trained up on how you can use all the different tools, set up your world classroom, and have an opportunity to be accessing some of those 10 million students as well, as you basically come on board, start tracking the income you're making as people start taking their journeys and learning through our platform, and also bringing your own content as well. We are teaching each of our different partners how they can basically give out the right invite in the right way to take them to assessments, how that then takes you into the level 1 products, which are products which are up to $100, includes things like our summit that's coming up, includes things like our Wealth Dynamics program, and then how that leads to basically the next level up, which is our Genius Metaversity and our mastermind, which is our showcase for the whole year. Then we have a whole team that we're building. We're going to have over 100 people in our team by this time next year that are our Genius Igniters. They're the ones that then basically have conversations with the 10% of people who are ready to step up into premium level. And then we then have the level 3 programs, which includes our courses. It includes some of our partners' courses and our entrepreneur certification. And then finally, the level 4 is where people are joining our mastermind or even our MBA and our bachelor's degree programs within our Genius University too. And then the final part, which is where we are now, is the partners, where everyone is looking at how they can both earn and learn at the same time, so that they can be generating both as we go too. So that's really the pathway of what we are creating as we go. And what's really super exciting about this is that this journey is being revamped as we go as well. I want to share 2 pieces with you, which I am super excited by. The first one, which I'm just giving you a taste of, but you're going to see more from Jason, is how we are redesigning the pathway to give people genius journeys, so that you actually are triggering a journey, unlocking journeys as you go, earning gems as you go as well, and then using those gems to be redeeming to other programs that allow you to effectively take student credits and turn those student credits into currency. So we've been talking about this for some time. We are now launching it, which is like super exciting. And most importantly, linking that to the whole concept of the AI. So 3 things that I want to share with you, which are where we are at the forefront of using AI, not just for what you can be doing with our students, but also what you can be doing with our partner portal, where all of our partners are building out the pieces as well. So first of all, let me just show you, when you go onto GeniusU now, I'm using my Genie every single day. So I can go onto here, and basically when I go into GeniusU, which I have already been using obviously for all of my different learning, I can connect up here and speak with my Genie on a day-by-day basis. You can see here, you have instant access to your own Genie right now as well. This is my Genie, right? So I can basically go into Genie and be asking Genie questions like straight away. Oh, sorry, I'm not even logged. Why am I not logged into GeniusU? I think I am. Let me try again. So here I am. So because I'm logged in at the moment, you can see it says Roger Hamilton here. Let me see if Genie is awake at the moment. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Well, maybe the team could double check on that. Maybe it's overloaded at the moment. But Genie basically will normally know exactly who I am, and then will be able to actually support me on my progress. I'm going to jump from that for a second. And then it will also basically take me to the we have for our partner portal. Our partner portal, you can see up here is the, I think it's because I logged out my piece. Let me go back in again. If I basically go in and go to the partner portal up here, you'll see that I have the opportunity to jump in and start planning, building, and growing my own pathway. You're going to be hearing more about this as to how we build this out and what's we're about to interlink to this with the partnership that we just announced, which was with Groove AI. So Groove AI is this program here, which basically allows us to drag and drop and build out our entire plan. And Groove AI is now going to be rebranding and packaging for educators a Genius Groove platform, which is going to be our partner portal. So instead of Groove Funnels, Groove Pages, Groove Mail, we'll have Genius Funnels, Genius Pages, Genius Mail, and linked together with their tools that allow you to then build out your platform directly on GeniusU. So to give you an idea of some of the things that are on here, let's just have a look at the first minute of this video here.
This is the all-in-one solution for your business that you've never dared to dream of. It's the Swiss Army knife of online business platforms, giving you every tool you need to share your passion, communicate your message, and enjoy the freedom to make a living on your own terms. Every tool working together seamlessly under a single login. Welcome to Groove. From funnels and pages to full websites, Groove Site Builder empowers you to make gorgeous pages from scratch. Or if you're looking for turnkey, use one of our hundreds of professionally designed templates. Editing these templates to bring your vision into full color has never been easier. But that's just the beginning. Once you have the website of your dreams with Groove Pages, you can set up your products and services in GrooveSell, a powerful shopping system with flexible payment options. And if you list your product on our marketplace, you'll be on your way to finding affiliates to sell your products for you. Plus, you'll have secure delivery of your information through our membership site over Groove Member. Start collecting emails and managing automated communication with Groove Mail. Create powerful automations for tagging and actions based on your visitor behavior. With Groove Automations, targeted follow-up has never been this effortless. There's no type of automation or sales funnel that.
So you get the idea. This entire platform that Groove has spent a huge amount of time and effort and funding on to actually build is now what we are going to be creating for all of our partners in our partner portal. And this is all building out and coming this quarter. So everyone who's coming on and joining us as a partner then gets all the drag and drop features, which allows us to then evolve and grow as we go as well. And one of the things I am most excited by is how we are evolving the current platform, which obviously you are on at the moment, just like I'm on here, which was Metaversity 1.0, where we can see everyone here at the moment. And basically you can see already, some people are setting up their own avatars that are here as well. What's super exciting about where we're now going is that we have got a second version that's been built with our partners Vatum and GeniusX. And let me just give you a sneak peek of what that looks like, because you can see here that I have got it open. This is basically where I can basically go into not one, but 5 different campuses. And we are designing and updating every quarter our Metaversity so you can teleport into it. And as you can see here, you start right in the center here. So here I am, where I'm in my Metaversity 2.0. And you can see that basically from here, I have the opportunity to be able to go and look at my genius. I've got my talents. I've got a welcome link over here. You can see the university campus. I've also got the Genius School campus. I've also got the partner portal, which goes in here. So all of the partners will be able to go in here once you become a partner. And in each one of these, you can see that there is a way to get right to the end and also to be able to link into all the different programs. Our partners, especially level partners, will be given their own room where they can actually meet with other people, fill it up with videos and with content, links to your own sites, and then be using the main hall when we basically have our big events, conferences, and so on as well. What's super exciting about this as well is that you'll see that we are now starting the ability for you to teleport. And as we actually build out the Metaversity, we see this happen with Apple, with their Vision Pro, and also with what we're seeing with like Meta. The speed with this is growing means that we can teleport into any space in any world. Our partnerships, for example, include here the team which is at Retreat VR. This is all being built out as part of Meta at the moment. Is the most effective and the leading education platform for people on Meta. You can see all the different people who already are here as speakers, and we are going to be bringing many of them on board into a live campus, which will be launching in Metaversity 3.0. But even now, as you can see from here, when you actually take the Metaversity 2.0, we have got these 5 spokes, and we already have got the teleporting working. So you can see over here, I can go into my teleport, and it straight away takes me up above, where you can see that this mothership is actually orbiting Earth. And I can basically go and have a look by standing on the glass pane here, down onto the entire view and each of the campuses down there. You can see basically we've got Leonardo da Vinci drawings, which are part of this as well, all the way around. And right in the center there, we have got the Vitruvian Man that we're looking down onto as well. So we are super excited about all of this. This is all designed around the whole concept of Starship Atlantis, and it actually comes, all these drawings come from the book Atlantica, which is the most famous book from Leonardo da Vinci. So building everything into the whole idea and picture of what we see as the future of the world game. And with that, I will teleport myself further down again and then come back into the room. The idea of this continuing to expand and grow, and in the same way that Fortnite has an updated image of its island, where the island effectively like changes and upgrades into another island, and we have everyone then coming back onto the next version. This allows us to do exactly the same with our mothership. And so if you go, okay, well, I'm not ready yet for me to have my whole classroom, but I will be by the second quarter of next year or third quarter of next year, great. That means that we can basically then schedule you in and partner with you on that as well. The most important thing to all of this, right, because I will be coming on later as well, but because I'm up to time now, is that everything here starts not with high but with having a conversation with us. So you will see that all the way through today, the one thing that we're inviting you to do is basically just have a call with our team, because by having that call and saying, well, I want to be part of this, what's the smartest, best way for me to do it? We'll be able to explain to you what the different levels of partnership are, how it starts as a free partner, and then how you can then be investing to be generating more income as you grow as well. And as you go from one level to the other, how you can have a bigger and bigger impact. And we can support you at a deeper and deeper level to be able to be part of our pathway and work together with us as well. We have plenty of stories, plenty of examples, but the most important thing is take the first step. And the first step is to basically book a call and to have that conversation with us. And the team will be sharing with you exactly where to go to make that call happen. And at the same time, who you'll be speaking to when you take that next step with us as well. So with that, I am going to hand it back to Jason. I think I covered quite a lot in that first half hour. Back to you, Jason.
I mean, every minute that is spent with you gets us to learn so many incredible things, whether it's on the latest trends that are happening outside the world or all the innovations that are happening within the GeniusU group. And it's so fantastic to use. And matter of fact, what I did is I used the Genie inside GeniusU to go and ask the question, like, how do I become a city host? And what does that mean? And so already was having conversations with me, and it's so fun to see. And as for me, it was the first time I see this Metaverse 2.0. And oh my God, I think we underestimate how fast things can move when you make the commitment and the decision to go in that direction. And I can see what you've committed to. And I think it's going to be great for GeniusU, and it's going to be great for all the partners that are part of this ecosystem. So super excited to see Roger. Thank you so much. And we're going to have more of Roger come back later today. But for now, we have an incredible speaker that's going to come and share with us today. We have Jeff Hayes. Now, I'm going to give his introduction in a minute. But before I do that, I wanted to show a quick little video of what is this entrepreneurial brain all about. I'll share a bit more details in a moment, but let's start with a good video so we know exactly what's going on.
The U.S. is seeing a boom in new small businesses.
Entrepreneurship continues to rise in the U.S.
A lot of business owners are shifting to entrepreneurship in order to provide that financial stability.
The majority of small business owners say that their business is exceeding expectations.
It's not a competition. It's about how can we support and lift one another.
We want to support entrepreneurs to give them a place to learn to succeed, because if this country is to be saved, it's going to come on entrepreneurs.
It illuminated how little I knew about being an entrepreneur versus being an employee with a side hustle.
You see something that is a service for others, you can do it for them. And you wonder, you're like, why can't I do this for myself?
What's not working? What were the values that were passed on that you need to throw in the garbage can?
The things that drive entrepreneurs are also the things that hold them back.
I was a businessman who happened to have a family, and I wanted to be a family man who had a business.
The difficulties in my life weren't actually because of the money or the business, but because of the lifestyle that I was living.
I have to reprogram almost every client I work with. They are going around creating great opportunities for people.
You're not going to find a single entrepreneur out there that isn't successful because of the people they surround themselves with.
What has worked before for other people, and then bring it over here and apply it.
That created another philosophy for me, which is if you grow your people, they will grow your business.
So there came a moment when I thought, wait a minute. You could make some money.
It's that ever-expansive evolution of self will shift the way that we think about wealth.
If you're one of the entrepreneurs that's in the middle of those dark days, know that every overnight success took a hell of a long time.
We're unique people. It's kind of like we're unemployable. When you're an entrepreneur, you're not going back.
Ask you 3 simple questions and I could figure out 100% how to solve to them.
And then 18 months after my worst moment, I'm the world leader in my industry.
As soon as 2 people have the same responsibility, no one does.
You don't have to carry those behaviors into growing a team, growing a company, having a large organization.
If they don't actually move and take action to do that, then what was the point?
Too many people set outcome goals and not enough action goals. Just do the action for the sake of the action.
There's all of these people that are looking up what you have to offer. There is a place for that on YouTube.
There was an opportunity to make an impact, and that was very needed in the market. We found a way to fill that need.
Marketing is about the market. It's not about having the greatest product ever.
If you even have the thought that you should be doing this, then the answer is absolutely yes. And the world needs us as entrepreneurs more than it ever has.
Every single person can choose to be someone who's entrepreneurial, even if they don't have creativity as one of their traits.
If you take advantage of these rich opportunities to learn from people who are a little further down the road from you, this can be a joyous life.
Jason, hey, you're muted. You haven't unmuted yourself. You've been speaking the whole time.
I had just started the most beautiful introduction for Jeff. Let me start again because you deserve the proper introduction, sir, which is Jeff Hayes, a renowned filmmaker, author, and television producer since the early 90s, gained national recognition with his documentary Fahrenheit 9/11, which was a response to Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11. Following his success, he produced On Native Soil, which was narrated by Kevin Costner and Hilary Swank, which focused on 9/11 victims' families and their efforts to establish the 9/11 Commission. Amid the 2020 COVID lockdowns, he authored 2 books, The Entrepreneurial Brain, which was released 2 days ago, and Love and Drugs, Tripping Past Trauma into Joy, which is going to be coming out next year. We'll be discussing the docuseries of The Entrepreneurial Brain, which actually features Roger Hamilton, as you've seen, as a thought leader in the space as well. Jeff, welcome to our platform. It's a pleasure to see you.
Hey, Jason, thank you for having me.
It's so fantastic to see that you're pushing this initiative around entrepreneurship. And I know in your book, you actually talk a lot about the importance of building a list. And I wanted you to tell us a little bit more about this, in particular, maybe the email list, and why is it so important in the entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, so I was at a mastermind in 2013. It was really the first mastermind I ever joined. And I was sitting at a table and I met a man named Paul Hoffman. And I was a filmmaker. I sold films to studios. I had one film that I had sold direct. And so Paul said, well, how big is your email list? And I said, well, it's not very big. He said, well, how big is it? And I said, well, it's about 8,000 names. And he said, 8,000, well, how does somebody get on your list? And I said, well, that's really my customer list. The way they get on my list is to buy something. And he goes, you've got a list of 8,000 customers? And I said, yeah. And he goes, Jeff, that's a really good list. Do you sell them anything else? I'm like, no, it's just a customer list. And he looked at me like I was an idiot, and I realized he was right. I was an idiot. He asked me another, he goes, well, he goes, do you not have an email collection box on your website? And so literally I had a Jeff Hayes Films website. I had a website for different films, and there wasn't even a place where I could collect. Like, so if you go, oh, I would like to know more about this guy, there wasn't even a box where you could input your email address. So not only was I not collecting them, I was repelling them. This would be like a panhandler, who won't take money from you when you're trying to hand him money. And so literally I went home from that mastermind, and all I did was put an email collection box on my web pages. And then obviously I started doing more than that over time. But the next film I released, right after I met Roger, and this was in 2014, I made the film free so you could see it, and you registered with your email. And in 2 weeks, I had 250,000 people registered to see that film for free. And over the last decade, that email list has made me literally millions of dollars of other things that we've been able to serve that list with. But it was all there. It was all available. And I'm in the film business. And so suddenly I'm also an internet marketer. I didn't, get out of school and go, okay, I'm entering internet marketing. This was a byproduct of the business that I was in, and hugely effective. And it's something that everybody, if you just look at the communications you have, the things you already are in the marketplace, there's a place to start building your list. So I started building my list at about age 54 or 55 and have made millions of dollars. My email list is now several million people. Literally, I had to set up my estate that when I die, my business is going to continue to run without me on behalf of my employees, because even if we wanted to stop the email list revenue from that list, it would not stop as long as we continue to mail opportunities and offers and content to that list. It does not require me. And so literally the people that work for my company don't have to worry that one day I'll shut it down, one day I'll die, and they'll be out of a job the next day. They literally have a couple of years of ongoing income from a business that I created because Paul Hoffman looked at me and said, you mean you don't have an email collection box on your webpage? And I said, no. So yeah, I believe in list.
I think, well, first off, going to masterminds, I know, is one of the most valuable things because that little piece of information changed everything. And again, I think it gets underestimated, the power of that email list. And, I've been in this industry for a long time. And so many times I hear somebody saying, emails are dead. The list doesn't matter anymore. It's always a hype. It's always going back to the list. And, even if you look at social media followings and any other of these, I'd call them very intangible assets because they're not even yours. They belong to the platform. And even in today's ecosystem, you're seeing changes in algorithms. You're seeing changes in censorship that make it so that you're not in control when you're on somebody else's platform. But by building your list and collecting those emails, those are real business assets. And now you actually have direct line of communication with so many people. So again, that to me is just timeless advice and so key to actually scale up the business. Now, at the same time,
can I introduce a couple of thoughts about what you said? And again, I have some stuff that I can say that you don't, but the conversational part, sometimes I'll deliver more value in a conversational part. But you mentioned masterminds. I'm sitting here in a hotel room in Scottsdale, Arizona, at 4:52 in the morning here. It's quite early. And so you can imagine, as a filmmaker, I left Utah yesterday, and I have a 10,000 square foot studio with beautiful sets. And by the way, your set looks great, Jason. I am just cringing that I'm a filmmaker sitting in a hotel room with a half-made bed behind me. It's like, this is just, hey, it's just where we are. But the reason I'm here is I'm at a mastermind. I spend $200,000 a year by being a member of masterminds. It's the single most important component of moving me from being just a filmmaker in a traditional path into discovering income. About 5 years ago, I was at Sundance Film Festival, and I went to dinner with 5 other producer directors, and we're sitting around the table. And at that table, Leonardo DiCaprio's documentary filmmaker partner was there. There were 2 or 3 Academy Award winners, and everybody but me, I've been shortlisted for an Academy Award. Everybody but me at the table had been nominated for an Academy Award. And the conversation was not about, Jeff, how do we get you an Academy Award? The conversation was, okay, Jeff, how is it that you make money doing what we do? We're way more famous than you, and you make 10 times as much money as we do. That if I do a film, let's say a documentary, a budget might be $2.5 million for a documentary film, and there's a producer's fee in that, usually of 20% of the budget. But the producer's fee, if you notice when you see a movie go by and you see 5 executive producers and 3 or 4 producers and an associate producer, it's usually a pool of about 10 or 12 people that are producers on a film. And the producers all take a cut of that producer's fee. And so that would be a $400,000 fee on a $2 million movie that 10 or 12 people get their income from, and the film will take a year or 2 to complete. So all of a sudden you go, well, yeah, I got a $2 million budget, but that means that that producer is working for $75,000 a year, $100,000 a year on that project, may be able to do a couple, but that really tops out if you're producing films. It's not a lucrative business, and that's why you tend to think of documentary filmmakers driving a beat up VW van and, you know, cameras in the back and, you know, living out of the back of their uncle's, you know, extra house in the backyard, and doing it for the love of film. I love film, but I don't want to go broke for doing it. And so there are these other skills that matter, and that really is the key to the entrepreneurial brain. What is it about me that says, yes, I'm a filmmaker, but I'm something else. I'm different from those other 5 people at the table. And this entrepreneurial brain was not an asset to me until I figured out what to do with it, and harness it and utilize it. And the majority of my skills came from being a part of masterminds. Second thing you said, the ongoing argument about email is dead. And and we'll close the chapter on email, but I just want to point out that conversation is only being had by people who don't have email list. And it's just a sheer fact that we're in this business, and we do use YouTube, and we use social media, and we use every channel we have. We also have a lot of affiliates who offer our products to other people. And so we'll have somebody approach us and say, well, I have, you know, 2-3 million followers on Instagram, or I have 2 million on this. And I see their results when they post on Instagram. You know, it's a fleeting moment. It may be impactful for a moment, and I see a blip in the radar, but, you know, we now have all the tracking in place. I see where our traffic comes from. And I would much rather talk to somebody who has an email list of 100,000 people than an Instagram following and a Facebook and all their social media combined in the millions. It just becomes almost meaningless. So I laugh when somebody wants to have that argument, because I know for a fact that they just don't have an email list.
Yeah. Well, not everybody's been as lucky to have that Paul Hoffman next to them and getting a chance to understand the power of masterminds as how you've discovered yourself. And I know you personally invest a lot in masterminds on an annual basis, but it keeps paying dividends because you stay on top of these. And I wanted to elaborate on that. When it comes to masterminds, do you find that the most valuable thing is to go outside of your industry to get ideas in different areas?
Yeah, so I do both. I'm here at a health conference today, but maybe 600 or 700 people in this group. And I became a member like 8 or 9 years ago, and it was 70 of us, and we were arguing, should we let it grow beyond 70 people? And now it's probably 600 or 700 people here. And so I'm in, this health conference because I do a lot of films on health topics. And so I come here and this is where I meet a lot of the people that we film. And so it's directly related to that. I'm in a group. I met Roger a decade ago sitting at a entrepreneurs mastermind. And Roger was sitting across from me, and you need to make him show journal pages, Jason, while he's on here. I don't know if you've ever seen Roger's journal, but it's unlike any journal you've ever seen. Where I take notes, Roger draws notes and creates incredible art that are his notes. And I'm looking across the table and seeing this going, okay, dude, you got to show me that. And he shows me his journal, and we go through several pages of it. It was just flipping brilliant. And I knew I need to know the man who owns this mind that can generate that on a piece of paper. And so I didn't go to that mastermind going, wow, I hope I meet a successful businessman with a resort in Bali and a resort in South Africa. These are, you go to a mastermind, and I walk in not looking for what I can take out of it, but what I can put into it. And how can I be of value? Who can I meet that is beneficial to both of us, that we can, sometimes it's business, sometimes it's friendships, sometimes it's inspiration, and sometimes it's a warning. But all of these people, I find value in all of them. When I did a film about the chiropractic profession, and for a year I ended up speaking at chiropractic colleges, and then they have ongoing education. So I would be speaking at events sometimes that have 5,000 chiropractors. I ended up knowing more chiropractors. I was chiropractic person of the year in 2013, and I'm obviously not a chiropractor. And so I ended up knowing so many chiropractors. I don't plan on doing another chiropractic film. In spite of that, I've learned business ideas from those groups. I've learned life ideas, and I've developed lasting friendships that have been of value both professionally and personally, that I'll carry. I literally can't just get in a mastermind. I don't care if it's if you're a male construction worker and you join a group of housewives figuring out how to raise kids, you'll end up benefiting because of the interaction with other people.
It's very interesting, because I find that what's almost the most important is your intent to mastermind brings like 90% of the result, because then you're going with that learner's mind. And even the fact that you're investing tangible money into a mastermind already shows kind of a sign to the universe that this is serious, this is important, and then magic seems to unfold, which is...
Jason, you make such a good point. And again, I know I'm turning this supposed keynote into a conversation, but you're stimulating a lot of thought. When you say when you put money into it, it demonstrates to others that that this is important to you. It demonstrates to the world. There's a key psychological distinction from a psychologist named Ben Hardy. Ben's written 3 or 4 best-selling books. He wrote Who, Not How. Ben is a member of a mastermind with me that cost him $100,000 a year. It's a graduation from a level of a group called 25K that's $25,000 a year. Ben joined 25K when he was still a graduate student, and the $25,000 a year was such a massive stretch for him that any rational person would tell him not to do that. And then he decided, he got so much benefit in 1 year and made so much money. His involvement in that group made him a couple of $100,000 that year. And of the $200,000 he made, he then proceeded to join 100K, which was way too much a percentage of his income to join that group, but he did it. And he talked about the psychological principle that when I spend money on something, not only am I demonstrating to you and to the world that it's of value to me, but we also are demonstrating it to ourselves. And so we judge other people by what we do, what they do, but we seldom realize that we also judge ourselves by what we see ourselves do. And so when you invest in something in yourself, automatically, you don't have to, to read slogans to yourself in the mirror or say affirmations about it. Your brain understands, oh, this is important to me. And when you join a mastermind, you not only pay with money, you pay with your time. I left my beautiful house in Utah, and I've got a great gym at home and a cold plunge and a sauna, and my bed is comfortable, and I've got a cooling pad on my bed. I've got a chef at home that cooks me meals, and now I'm in a hotel room in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I've stayed in some spectacular hotels. There's none that are as nice as my own home. I pay with my time, I pay with my leaving my house and my friends to be here, and I pay with my money, and all of that demonstrates to me that this is important to me. So yeah, I show up planning on exchanging value, on giving value, on getting value, because my brain knows it's important to me.
I love that. Since we're on the topic of money, I know that in the Entrepreneurial Brain, you do have a chapter that's dedicated about raising money. And I'd love for you to be able to share some ideas for some of the people that are here. What are the best ways for entrepreneurs to raise money for a new venture? Because I know you've created a lot of creative ways to raise money in today's generation too.
Yeah, raising money, I have a love-hate relationship, mostly hate. And anytime you raise money for any project, you risk your reputation, you risk your ability to sleep at night. It is grueling. And in the book, I write about it. And the book is divided up. The first half of the book are really mindset skills and things you need to be or embody to be successful as an entrepreneur. But I wanted to make the second half of the book skills that you need to develop to actually execute on this. It's very easy to get philosophical and say, oh, here are the things you need to think. And those are critically important, but you do have to develop some skills. And unfortunately, every business, the lifeblood of a business is money. And unless you come from a wealthy family who can afford to write you checks for you to explore your entrepreneurial yearnings, that was not my case. My dad was a country preacher, and I grew up in lower middle class, and it was never a thought that, my parents were going to be funding my ventures. And so that means that if you have a valid idea that you think you believe in, that you can raise money, and you have to raise money. And so then people start going down the track of it. Okay, how do I raise money? And if they fall into, well, you need to get a lawyer and he will help you create a private placement memorandum. The first private placement memorandum I created cost me $30,000 just for the lawyer to write the paperwork for me to give an investor. And what I learned, I thought I was doing this in a very business-like way, coming up with a big thick manual of here's the business plan, here's our plans, I had paid an accountant to create all of these projections that of course were just totally fictitious. You're saying this is what we're going to do the first year, and they want a year 1 through 5. Like, every business plan has a 5-year projection. There's nothing more ludicrous than a 5-year projection for a business that hasn't even started yet. You're literally making stuff up, and then you wrestle over it for hours. Is that too high? Is that too low? And you work on these numbers for months, and then you give them to an investor, and the ones who do read it go, well, I think you're too high here. And it literally is like people that don't know how to swim standing by the ocean, giving each other advice on how to swim and avoid sharks. It has no basis in reality. Worse, investors think they want a private placement memorandum. So when they ask for it and you give it to them, they get it and they realize it's complicated. They don't know how to read it either. In the same way you didn't know how to write it, they don't know how to read it. So they look at it and then they blurt out, wow, this looks great. Let me give this to my financial advisor. and their financial advisor is their lawyer or their accountant, or they may have a real financial advisor. But all of these people, the only way they keep that person as a client is by not letting them do stupid things. And so worse, if it's a broker that they give it to, not only is the broker not going to make a commission if they put their money there, they're going to lose the money, you know, like, okay, well, sell all my stock and put the money in this. But worse, a broker actually has liability. If he looks at that and says, this is a good investment, he didn't make any money on it, but he's literally liable for recommending something he's not supposed to. He can be fired. In the brokerage business, it's called selling away, where you're selling things that don't come from the company that you work for, and it's a violation. They can lose their license for it. So anybody they would take that to is predisposed or required to tell them not to do it. And this is the first way people think is the way to raise money, is to do it in a business-like fashion. And so I had a mentor who taught me how to raise money, and it was nothing like the traditional path. The biggest thing is you have to make it so people are afraid not to invest instead of afraid to invest. And that means you have to create something, you have to show momentum, and then you have to create such an exciting picture that then I'm afraid I'm going to miss out on this. Imagine if you had been sitting with Elon Musk after Elon Musk at SpaceX had just launched the third rocket. And finally, after 2 failures, the third one went up and made it to space and had a successful test. And then if Elon had been able to look around the room and say, okay, I'm going to do a private placement and we're going to raise the money to start building on this. You know, Roger Hamilton taught me that money flows to predictability. If you can create something that people see, holy cow, this train is about to leave the station, and if I don't jump on this train, I'm going to miss it. My mentor, David Nemelka, I was doing a project and David told me, okay, Jeff, I believe in you. Anytime you want to do something, I will always give you the first check. I'm always in for the first 100,000, because the only hard money to raise is the first money. And then the way I want you to do this, we wanted to raise $1 million for a company we eventually raised 75 million for, but we needed to raise this initial $1 million. And David said, okay, the way we're going to raise this first $1 million, I'm going to give you the first 100,000. So now that leaves 900,000. There were 4 partners. So let's just say you've got $250,000 each, and 100,000 of it is already done. So now you're down to 225 each. And so each one of you is responsible for 225,000. So Jeff, when you go out and see your group, you're always working on the second half. Nobody wants to be the first money. You're always working on the second half. So you are no longer raising $1 million. You've only got 225 million. So we're going to raise this, 225,000. So we're going to raise this 225,000, Jeff. You'll go out and all you have to do is find 9 people at 25,000 apiece. And when you tell them, listen, I can only let you have 25,000. Now, some of my partners are responsible for the rest of the money. Maybe if we're lucky, after you're in, by the end of the month, when we close this round, maybe I can peel back 25 for them and I might be able to get you 50,000, but I can only guarantee you 25,000. And we're raising this at $1 a share until the end of the month. At the end of the month, we're going to close this round at $1 million. And at the end of that, at the end of this round, we're going to start a new round and do a $2 million funding round at $2 a share. So if you want to be a part of this business, and I've already described the exciting business, you've got till the end of the month at $1 a share. If you want to stand on the sidelines and wait and see how we do, you can buy in next month at $2 a share. So we were creating something with momentum. Now, the story of the business, I haven't even told you about. I'm just telling you about the structure. We created a structure that had excitement in it. So we went out and we raised $600,000, and we only had 1 week left, and we had a bunch of people on the fence. Nobody was moving. We went back to David and said, David, we're stuck. We're stuck at 600,000. We can't raise any more money. What do we do? So David told us to go back to everybody that we had that was sitting on the fence and tell them that this round was closing at $1 a share on Friday. It was opening up at $2 a share on Monday. And David Nemelka had said he was going to buy whatever wasn't sold. So we're sold out. Anything that isn't sold is gone as of Friday at 5 o'clock. And we had 5 days, that Monday through Friday. At 5 o'clock Friday, it's closed. Whatever's left, David's going to take. This is sold out. And so all the people that we had sitting on the fence, once they realized they're missing the opportunity, we ended up oversubscribing that round and raising $1.4 million. I remember one guy named Ed, well, I won't say his last name, Ed, come running in the door of the office at 5:15 with his check saying, did I miss it? Did I miss it? And so we went from being stuck at 600,000 to at $1.4 million oversubscribing it, because we created momentum in the structure. And this is what I mean by you've got to make it where people are afraid not to get in instead of afraid to invest. So it's a mindset.
Jeff, it's so awesome to hear these stories and to go deeper into changing our mindset when it comes to how to raise money. And, you know, you're speaking to someone who's a salesperson too, and I can appreciate the level of scarcity that's necessary for people to take action. And I know in the book and in your series, you go so much deeper on a lot of the other things that entrepreneurs need to consider. And what I wanted to do is actually place an invitation for everybody that's here on the conference. We are running out of time. And so what has been created is a space for you to register. And what I love the most is by scanning this QR code, there's a 9-day event that's happening that everybody gets to have a ticket, and you do need to put in your email as well. Jeff, could you share a bit more about what's happening on this 9-day that you're putting together, and what's the offer we have here?
Yeah, this is the Entrepreneurial Brain. We filmed the world's best experts on entrepreneurship, and it's really my goal to support entrepreneurs in I believe this is for the world. This is where the future is coming from. And so the series, you know, Roger plays a great role in it. We have people of Roger's caliber giving advice like I did today, practical advice on mindset and how to be an entrepreneur, how to be a successful entrepreneur. If you are one, you need to see this series. If you are by nature a school teacher, an accountant who doesn't care about owning his own business, this is not for you, and it'll sound like a bunch of people speaking gibberish. But if you know that you're somebody unique and different and called out to do more in the world, this series is free, except for the fact that you pay for it with your email address. You get to see the whole thing for free, and it's the most valuable thing I can contribute to an entrepreneur. And I invite anyone, if they feel an entrepreneurial urge, if they think that's them, this is a free resource for them, and I'd be excited to share it with them.
We're going to also put a link into the chat so everybody that needs to click on this directly can go there, scan the QR code with your phone, and you'll be able to go and opt in to make sure that you get this series. Jeff, it's been such a wonderful pleasure to have a conversation with you. I feel it was quite short. There's so much more that I know we can have conversations about, but I will wish you a great morning. I know you just got started with your day at a very early time, so we appreciate your presence here. We had such an amazing time, and all the best. And for everybody else tuning in here, be sure to take a moment, go onto your favorite bookstore, grab a copy of The Entrepreneurial Brain. It has just released on all these major platforms. I'll be getting a copy myself. And Jeff, once again, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the GeniusU platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason. You're terrific.
Now, this was our first keynote speaker. Wow. For me, this is just something I'm now so much more curious about. And the big action steps I want to take from this is, number one, pick up a copy of that book. Number two, I'm going to go see this video series so I can actually find myself taking in some more information, because I haven't taken the student seat in a while. And number three, I'm definitely looking at some masterminds and ways that I can connect, because even if I think of my own journey, I can always point back to masterminds or events where I've connected with people that have led to incredible opportunities. And I know for everybody that's already on this platform here, you are part of a great mastermind as well. And there's so many opportunities for us to connect. So maybe some of you will actually choose to come to Bali for the Entrepreneur Resort event as well. So that being said, well, sounds like we're having a Jason conference happening here, because I'm going to be bringing another Jason, which I'm calling JJ for now. And I think I'm going to change my name to Mark so we minimize the confusion. But Jason is taking a lead, and as Roger mentioned earlier, has created the platform, the tech development for the platform that is going to be available for all the partners. Jay, I pass the torch on to you. I know there's some exciting innovations that you're going to be sharing with all our partners here. So the floor is yours, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Jason. It is a Jason conference. Hello, everyone. That's kind of hard to follow from Jeff Hayes. So it's such an inspiration. But I'll do my best to share what's happening and what's coming up with our platform. Just a quick introduction. I am Jason Hainge. I am based in Seattle, Washington, in the US, but I am currently in New York with Roger, as he mentioned earlier. We are with the team to see what is out there, and we're doing our long-term strategic planning. And I was with Amazon for 8 years, and I was lucky to be in the building phase, and I've seen the growth of what Amazon did, and how they made their platform very much open to their partners. And that's one of the things that I would like to bring and to our platform, to learn more of what we're doing, and then to share all of those, especially in the technical, in the technological perspective. And then, so I'll share my screen. Okay. So this is a prototype of what we're going to be launching. The first one is what we call the partner landing page. So this is more of an introduction, so to help all of you as partners to help sign up, and then to share more to your community of what we're doing as a partner. And we're bringing the principles of what I've learned from Amazon, and what has made it great, simple, and it's clean. So we have in here at the top one, the call to action. And of course, we're featuring our great partners. We'll be continuing to have all of these content, working with our sales and marketing and partnership team to feature all of you. So we'll have a section over here to encourage more of our community to come in here and to see how we've helped our partners to grow with us. And then, of course, our fabulous playbook, our framework. We've got the plan, we've got the build, and grow. Then from there, we will explain what that genius formula is, especially with our fabulous content. And then levels, sign up, share, and earn. We also have here the call to actions. If you have been an existing partner with us and you want to continue to level up, you'll be able to see it from level 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's the first part. Very simple and clean and easy to follow. And again, it's a lot easier for your community. Just get the URL, get the link, and share them. Hey, we've heard about the GeniusU platform. We want you to start as an affiliate or level 1. Just send this, and this will be one of the things that we'll be launching to start with. We have the mobile version as well. So as we prepare for both platforms for desktop and mobile. Okay, from there, we have a revamp of our partner portal. As Roger has mentioned earlier, the idea over here is to have all of a centralized messaging, a centralized document for you to be easier to follow and be a successful partner with us. And as you can see here, we already have the world game. And again, this is one of our prototypes. It's easier. You'll have the content here. We had the AI AR theme from Q3. We've got the Q3 summary. Also here, Roger mentioned about his book. We'll be adding Jeff Hayes' upcoming book as well. As we play the world game, we will be featuring our partner leaderboards, the same as success stories and other resources that we'd like for you. So the idea is to morph a news feed, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to follow and see what are the next steps. Okay, I've signed up. What should I do? And where should I get all of the information and content that I need to learn to be successful? And then if you're new or if you want a refresher, we have a welcome page. You'll see all of the information over here. You can read all of these. And of course, once you're done, you can do a check mark. So at least you know, oh, okay, I've read this. I've read this. I don't need to read it again. But if you need a refresher, there's a viewed tab for you to go into and track, excuse me, track all of the information that you'd like to learn again. From there, we've got the challenges, we've got the Q4 updates, we've got the roadmap, product list, and of course, our fabulous community. We've got the latest partner conference. We usually send, Michelle and team sends the video of what has happened from last partner conference. You'll find it here. You'll harness the power of the community. You'll be able to see them over here. You'll see Roger, Michelle, and a discussion board. So we want to bring it here. So we've got multiple platforms in terms of communication. And again, the goal is for you to have one portal, one centralized. Come in here, you'll get all of the information. If you want to connect with our community, if there's something that you need to discuss, it's going to be easier for you as a partner to come in here. And then the calendar of events, easy calendar view. And of course, certifications. We always want you to succeed. We always want you to continue to level up. And these are some of the things that you'll find in here. Okay, this is another exciting things that we're launching. We are revamping the affiliates experience over at the partner portal. It's currently in GeniusU. We'll be porting it into this partner tool. At the top part, we'll be curating the top 5 links for you to easily share with your community. So right now, of course, we have the new Renaissance. Click share. You'll still have that same experience, copy link or copy text, and then you can share it with your community. There's another one. So the top billboard will make it easier for you to understand what are the things that we would like to share first. So these are the top ones. And then again, our team will be curating it for you. As you can see, you'll see the metrics, last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. It's a lot easier for the user to follow. We got earnings, the clicks, the actions, the data visualization. We're adding more data visualization and easier for our partners to follow and track. Got entities as well. You can download your report. And of course, the community that you bring in terms of referrals will be in here. And lastly, the card-like function. If you want to share more, we've got the top 5 links for you to share. And then if you have more, you can search for what you want, and it's going to be all in here. So that is the first part of what we're going to be launching. For our partner portal, again, we're revamping the whole experience for our partners, so it's easier for you to follow and to succeed. As we go into the plan, build, grow, Roger have mentioned that we're partnering with Groove, and more to come on that. And that's it for now. Back to you, Jason.
Well, not quite back to me. I have some questions. So from one Jason to another Jason, I'd love to know from you, you took on this project, and I just want to know what got you the most excited about taking on such a big project?
Yeah, that's a great question. I believe I am an entrepreneur by heart. My dad was a medical doctor, and he managed his own clinic. My mom had a small business, and my parents infused in me the qualities of being entrepreneurial. And when I was back at Amazon, I managed the Amazon individual sellers. So that's basically the eBay model on Amazon. And I've helped more than 10 million sellers, selling partners over at Amazon, to be successful, from growing $10,000 to $100,000, and some of them have reached even $1 million selling on Amazon. And one of the products that I've launched as well was the Amazon exclusives, which is the focus on small businesses. And we've helped them grow. We've partnered with Kickstarter, with Indiegogo. We've even partnered with Mark Cuban's business development team. So some of the Shark Tank companies, we've launched them on Amazon exclusively and made them into multi-million-dollar businesses. So I'm very much excited to share all of those that I've learned from working with a lot of entrepreneurs for my personal life, and then sharing into a mission-driven company such as Genius Group.
I was actually, you stole some of the words I wanted to share, which is the fact that, you're talking about a mission-driven company. And I wanted to understand a bit more of you as someone who's leading a lot of this development. I think your personal values and your personal mission impact a lot of its development. I want to share, to hear from you, like, what is one of the missions that you're most passionate about that drives you for the things that you do every day?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I grew up in the Philippines, and poverty and hunger was one of the things that we have. One of the challenges that I've seen, and that's when I learned that the company is partnering with, or at least focusing on, the UN global goals. And it's funny, when I taken one of the tests, of course, my passion looking into the hunger and then the poverty, helping out. I was born and raised in the Philippines, and then moved to the US when I was a teenager. So I've seen how that evolved, and looking at now, we're playing the world game, and that's one of the things that we want to continue to overcome as a big challenge, not just in the US or back in Asia, but the whole world. And I think that's one of the things that inspired me to be more involved, and again, understanding more of our partners, of our users, so that again we can continue to contribute, especially now that we're playing the world game.
Jason, it's so awesome to see the updates that you guys are putting together in this partner platform. Given that, this is a mission that will not be done alone, it gets to be done with partners, and giving the right tools to the partners so they can have the most success is a critical component. And knowing that you're leading that development and you're bringing all your wealth of experience into that project is really, really cool to see. And already so many updates are happening. So very excited to see the future. And I'm very glad that we have someone like you at leading that project. So thank you so much for showing us where the path is happening. And I know it's just the beginning. So thank you once again for sharing, Jason.
Thank you.
And with that, we're going to be, now that we've had a chance to see what are some of the developments that are happening with the tech side, and again, there's so much amazing things that are making it easier for you to have success as a partner, we thought this would be a great opportunity to bring some of our partners on the platform here to be able to share what is it that it's like actually using some of the tools that are available. We're going to have Michelle Nolting, Bae Benkova, Lourdes Gant, and Alison Sandrak Brown. We're going to join us on a panel where we're going to go deeper into understanding what are the ways that you can use this platform to support you in your entrepreneurial journey as well. So I'll ask all of our panelists to turn on their camera and join me here on the stage, as we're going to be having a short little panel going on here. So I'll kick it off with just talking to Michelle, which I know is working as the manager for all of our partners. So I was going to kick it off with you, Michelle, to give us a little bit more about your background and how you got involved with GeniusU to kick it off before we bring our partners on.
Amazing. Thank you for being here for us today. And it was so good listening to the previous speakers. So that was fun. And yeah, so I've been part of the Genius Group for a while now, since like 2017. I actually joined as a client first. And then I was looking for a mentor, right? So I was in South Africa. So I'm in Greece now. So Jason, if my internet is wobbly, we have a wobble day today. So bear with me. But yeah, I moved to Greece about a year and a half ago already. And from South Africa to here. But when I was there, I was looking for a mentor. And so I joined Roger as a client a while back. And then I actually started as a partner. We still did live events at that time. And I used to drag my tribe and my community to events in Johannesburg and Cape Town and get them to come and listen to everything about wealth dynamics, because that's my love of all life, right? Because I love, like, you know, the whole energy thing. I love the creator, the dynamo, you know, all of the stuff behind that. So for me, that was a big thing, to find a mentor who I resonated with. And then over time, yeah, he asked me to come and do some work with his clients, and started into the flow consultants and the certifications. And yeah, since then, it kind of progressed, and we hit COVID. And then I met these lovely clients that we've got on the lovely ladies that we're here together, and we all started like working together a bit stronger. And then, yeah, from then on, I started looking after the partners in a bigger space. So for me, it's around, you know, my big thing is partnering for the goals. And it's about what we're doing together so that we can make a change in the world. And I'm blessed that I'm part of a community where I can actually be involved with other people that are making a massive impact, and that we can share this impact, and we can go forward, and we can actually make change. And I think that's the big theme behind this whole thing, you know? So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. And I want to send it over to you, Alison. Maybe give us a bit of your background and how you got initially involved with GeniusU.
Hi, Jason. Hi, everyone. Lovely to join you today. So I got involved with Genius Group, the community, probably about 5 years ago. And I was invited by actually one of my clients who invited me to an event taking place in London. And I was looking for a business mentor at the time. And yeah, I just really decided there and then that Roger was going to be my mentor. So I was lucky enough to join Crystal Circle. And I've been involved with the community ever since. Yeah, I decided, you know, to become a partner because it just makes sense for me and, you know, what I'm doing and supporting the community. And so, yeah, I'm really happy to be involved in that sense.
I love it. Thank you so much, Alison. We'll come back to you for some more questions as well, but let's head over to Bea, and you can tell us a little bit more about your background and your initial involvement.
My God, this is just like a walk down the memory lane. It really is like, I think all of our partners here, and also you, Jason, you know, we are here because we really resonate on the level of the purpose. And, you know we're walking this journey because it makes difference to the world, but it makes difference to us. So I actually met Roger in 2007, if you can believe that. There wasn't much talk about transformation. I had just left investment banking, let go my ambitious goal, and realized, you know, that's not really my purpose and my passion. And before then, my whole life has been driven like by this goal to become the first central governor of a bank in Slovakia. So my passion, you know, banking and regulation, I realized that's, not really who I am. If I had 3 years of my life, I don't think I would be doing it. So I met Roger at that pivotal time when I was asking myself the question, who am I? Why am I here on this planet? And where am I going? And when I met Roger and heard the vision that he has for the world, I thought, I'm really not clear about myself, but I know this is the destiny I am sailing. Like, it's so aligned with who I am as a soul. I really don't know right now how I'm going to be doing it. I'll figure that the genius part and the passion and purpose later, but I know I'm going to be around. And Jan and I, we became first master practitioners in 2008, started working, flying to Bali, then became country leaders. And then inside who I am and my Empowering for Women, I created GeniusU, the Global Institute for Evolution, in 2012 as an expression of my soul. So it only makes a difference, makes sense that I'm here as a partner. It's been a journey for many years, and it's going to be a journey for many years. I think all of us who are listening here to us, if this resonates with you and you really feel it touches your soul, there's definitely a signal here. And yeah, it is a bumpy ride, like Michelle said, so many different roles we take on, but they keep evolving and becoming bigger and bigger. And World Dynamics has been integrated in my life and everything we do since 2007. And it's so great to see how it's evolving, how it's growing, how people are coming, and how we can also find our better positions inside the whole field to play the game that we're playing. Like, Michelle, you're such an amazing partnership manager. Like, I know everyone thinks like, yeah, it's great vision. Roger is the visionary. But is the team like you, Jason, and Michelle, and Lourdes and Alison, who are also bringing to life and making it really real and working together. So just want to thank all of you for being here on this journey with me, and I'm really excited what's going to emerge from our conversation today.
It takes a village to make a movement, right? And so I really, really love these words. Thank you so much, Bea. And I wanted to pass it on to you, Lourdes, as well, to tell us a bit more about your background and how you got involved.
Yeah, so I shared before and love it to be here with all of you as always. It's always good to be in shoulders of giants. And I got started with GeniusU because as a mechanic, as my profile, I've always liked to geek out on what works. And I've seen how GeniusU have created this wonderful community in the last 2 years, especially with COVID, even though I know GeniusU from 10 years ago from Roger's Live Your Life, Live Your Legacy book. And so I was just in awe and how I call him my modern Nostradamus because of his futuristic thinking. I always love joining the summits, watching what the trends that he's going to share. So that was pivotal for me to be able to also be a leading learner in my community. And my 3 pillars of sustainable business is 5.0 for that matter is leadership, partnership, and stewardship. And Roger has always, what's the word I'm looking for? Embodied that. The word was embodiment of all that, of all those pillars. And as you know, in a very big community, the world is actually smaller. And so I was thinking around, before there's 6 degrees of separation. Now, I think 5 years ago, it became 2 degrees of separation. I think now with the advent of technology, there's no even separation. You can technically really connect to the person who can give you the next level of what you're looking for. So that's why I'm involved with GeniusU. Thank you.
Lovely. Well, I'm not going to let you go. I'm going to keep going at you, Lord, since you were the last one talking here. And I want to ask you, so you are the country leader of Canada, and you've actually been able to use that role to increase your level of impact in your local community. And I just wanted to understand, what benefits has that given you by using the GeniusU community and actually having an impact to the community you already had?
So I love having my learning curve shorter, and GeniusU definitely gave me that platform. I remember sharing from the last summit where we had all these marketing micro school, and one of the things that I did there was actually having a podcast. So I didn't realize that will give me the authority and credibility I have in my industry, and I probably would not have done that if not with the GeniusU platform. And I think when people talk about if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. I think Roger will probably reward that too. If you value lifelong learning as an investment, neglecting it is the real cost to your potential. So if you're here right now and you're thinking, oh, I will have to delay this and what have you, and Bea talked about mission driven and everybody else here on the platform, I believe that and Jason as well. The other Jason that you were interviewing was talking about growing from the Philippines. My family is a poverty-stricken background, and surprise, surprise, my United Nations Sustainable Development Goal mission is no poverty. And with my partnership with GeniusU, it also highlighted, I didn't know that part of our company mission was actually quality education. So I brought in an additional thinking of having to jump from product-based to service-based, adding education to our business has really helped in terms of making a growing community, not only in my industry, but also hopefully in Canada. So I invite everybody of you who, shameless self-promotion, if you're in Canada, jump on in. We'd love it to be a city leader and a partner, obviously.
Well, we'll definitely have to have some more conversations. As a fellow Canadian myself, based in Ottawa, I definitely have some good connections with people that I think would benefit from actually being in part, supported by this ecosystem to get them to reach their goals even faster, such as how you've decided. So thank you so much for that, Lourdes. I'll head over to you, Allison. And I wanted to ask you, because I know you've been working on the wealth dynamics for thought leaders specifically. And we hear Roger speaking a lot about how singularity might be in the next 46 months, which is happening so fast. And I just wanted to know, with a year full of changes and this coming up, how do you see thought leadership supporting the entrepreneurs as the program that you're developing with all these changes happening around us?
Yeah, great question. So yes, very excited to be working on this wealth dynamics for thought leaders. And what that actually means is what we're trying to do is really help those identify, once you know your profile, is how do you work with your profile to really help promote yourself, but promote your brand, the project that you're working on. This is important because, a lot of people are playing so small, and there's never been a better time, and some might say a critical time, to really step up and share, your expertise, your knowledge, your experience with the world. And I'm sure there's, a lot of people on the call today who wouldn't immediately call themselves a thought leader. Maybe they haven't thought of themselves in that way before, but really, they could well be seen as thought leaders by others in their community, even if they're small groups. So what we're trying to do is encourage, people to really start thinking about how can they raise awareness of their business, of what they're working on, their projects. If people don't know what you're doing, then they can't support you, they can't join, they can't, share it with others. So that's why, we want to really help people to understand, okay, look, I'm a supporter profile. So for me, I love championing others. I love supporting others. And this is what we do, I run the PR agency. And so we do this day in, day out for our clients, and we love it. We love supporting others to make an impact in the world. So with the wealth dynamics for thought leaders, what we're trying to encourage people is to say, okay, you might not be a supporter, you might be a lord or a deal maker, creator, etc. But there are still many ways that you can actively promote yourself, really push what you're doing. It's not necessarily about you becoming famous, it's about putting the spotlight on your work and your expertise and your insights. And there's ways that you can do that within your comfort zone, but also then identifying, okay, what other profiles do you need around you in your team to help do the other things that perhaps not in your comfort zone or your zone of genius. And so, this is why I'm really looking to, to help people in this way and hopefully get that out very soon to everybody.
Well, I think, as we speak about this kind of touch and go towards the singularity, and knowing that a critical component of that is raising consciousness, I think having thought leadership, a healthy thought leadership, is going to be critical to making sure that we end up on the right side of this historic time that we are part of. And so when the wealth dynamics for thought leadership comes out, I think this is going to be a powerful platform, because there's so many people that are trying to find themselves on how to go out there in their own way. And I think there seems to only be an advocacy for a single path. And I think the fact that you integrate it with wealth dynamics makes you realize that everybody can do it in their own way. As a fellow supporter, I definitely empathize on your methodology and appreciate it as well. I wanted to head over to Bea and ask you, because I know you're a leader within the evolutionary women's space on GeniusU, and I wanted to see, how have you seen this community dynamic evolve, and are there specific instances where partnerships played kind of a pivotal role in fostering connections around women?
Yeah, well, definitely. And before I give any examples, you can just see on the social media, I already saw a post today. We are running the Global Evolution Women Awards at GFU. Is bringing forth really a shining light on the women all around the world who are trailblazers, who are raising consciousness, being who they truly are. And, you know, Lourdes is a nominee. We're celebrating. Alison is a nominee. There are other partners who are nominated that we can all shine light on each other. And for me, this is a really practical example, because one thing is to do theoretical. The other thing, what are we actually doing on the court of society to shape the conversation, you know, to kick the ball, as Rhoda likes to talk about the football. Okay, what is our version of the football? So that's like really great example of saying we're running a global summit in 2 weeks about renaissance of the evolutionary feminine, bringing together the evolutionary intelligence inside the evolutionary women's space and the artificial intelligence. GeniusU is a global partner. Michelle is speaking, Roger is speaking. So these are like all real things we're creating together as platform. And me being a star profile in the world dynamics makes sense, right? Creating a platform when I can shine light on others. And I think Michelle can vouch for it. I just like nothing better than shining light on what we stand for. But it's such a pure joy for me to work with Lourdes and Michelle, because they have different profiles. And in the evolutionary women space, when we created the world dynamics for the evolutionary women, it was really out of desire to really create an amazing pathway for the women in the GeniusU, but also all over the world, that brings together in a unique profiling system, the Rogers Genius, the world dynamics, together with the evolutionary. Right, so it's bringing together our entrepreneurial journey and the evolutionaries. Because, you know, I've been developing myself on dynamics, playing the game, building the business, but there was always something that was missing, that we were doing nature in GFU, but wasn't really present in the pathway, and that's the evolutionary. And I'm going back to the quote that Roger shared from Buckminster Fuller, just to bring it back to singularity in the race. The integrity of each individual human is in the final examination, and it's the integrity of us as human beings. For me, that's operating on the full spectrum of our human consciousness, right? Being the evolutionary man, being the evolutionary human, being the evolutionary woman. As Richard Barrett says, the future of humanity depends on the evolutionary woman. So understanding our evolutionary keys to really bring our genius to the world. Michelle has a different evolutionary key that fuels her evolutionary impact than me. For her, it's curiosity. For me, it's courage. And this is what you will find out on the zone. But when we know that consciously, then we can really support each other with power, with impact. And for us women being on our heroine journey, because I have to say it's different than the hero journey. Our heroine journey on the evolutionary journey is different. For us, it's a quest for wholeness and healing to be who we truly are. And that's the integrity that Roger shares about, that Buckminster Fuller talks about. And I think we all need to be in our soul consciousness, because from wherever we vibrate, we create. And we want to create a partnership with AI. We want to be that united field that really vibrates the soul and our full spectrum. So that's, I hope I answered your question. I always come from the future. But for me, it's having conversations like this and be on the court of society doing it. And no, it's not for this year. If someone, you know, wants to become a partner and expect something very quick, it's not the right environment for this one. This is for life, right? This is for a purpose. This is for the future. But if you align and you can feel this is the right place for you, it's going to be an amazing journey that's worth the game. And I always come from a place saying, is this the game worth playing? And this is definitely a game worth playing. So over to us, playing and making impact in the world.
Well, Bea, I absolutely love what you're sharing, particularly about how, depending on who you are, what's your background, and particularly in the case of evolutionary women, you have your own path, and you identified a white space that if you can take the model and make it so that it's more inclusive to a group of people that might not have looked at the model and be as receptive to it, now you've created an opportunity for them to thrive within the model. And I think this is what I find the most interesting with the ways that you can do partnerships with GeniusU, is sometimes it's with an interest group, sometimes a geography, it's a city, it's a country, and there's so much flexibility on how you can find what is the things that you're passionate about, what is the purposes that you align with, and what are the spaces that you can come into this ecosystem ecosystem and say, wow, these are people that I can absolutely serve with the biggest heart and the most excitement. And there is an opportunity there as well. So thank you so much. I'll bring it over to you, Michelle, which we started with you. We're also going to end with you as well. Is, as somebody who's either a country or a city leader, how do you believe that we can like scale their impact and influence within the local GeniusU community? And what role do partnerships play in this scaling process?
It's a really great question. And I think, everybody, when you're an entrepreneur, when you start your journey, you often feel like you're on your own. And I think that's the catch to this whole thing, that you're not actually by yourself. If you collaborate with the right tribes, and these ladies that are on the call today, like with me, they've built something. So they don't want to be on their own. They want to be building with. Right. So it's always like a together. And I know it sounds like random, but I keep saying this. It's not 1 + 1. It's 1 + 1 is not 2. It's 1 + 1 is 11 kind of vibe. Right. So you've got this exponential thing. So for me, it's around GeniusU is the space that facilitates this magic, which brings out the magic of each of our countries, right? So there's an amazing being in some countries, some cities, somewhere, right? So what we do is we just take that amazingness, show you the process, the systems, the stuff to be successful, help you connect in with our tribe and grow you. When you're more of a faculty or a curriculum partner like Alison and Bea here, then we still do the same thing, but we need to connect you with the cities and we need to connect you with our clients and you need to connect together. So it's not just about you and me, it's about us and how we build it together. And I think that's the huge component to this, Jason. It's about a movement. It's about taking this thing that what we're doing and making a difference, because why are we all waking up every day? And Roger said thousands of times, right? If you're going to wake up every day, actually do something that matters. Maybe that's paraphrasing, but get up and do something that's going to make a difference. And I think when we all come together, we're much more powerful than if we're trying to battle along as an entrepreneur by ourselves. So if you're wanting to take this next 46 months and actually do something, come with a tribe that actually gives you a step-by-step of how to get there. So Roger and I are going to go through a couple of steps and stories and stuff just now. But for me, it's that connection and that soul connection and that group. I don't know how to explain it anymore, right? But it's about that we're all going to make this massive difference and actually do something that's worthwhile. And I wake up every day and have so much love for these ladies and other partners that we have also. But this is, we all actually in the fight together. So it's not you're on your own anymore, So I hope that kind of answers your question. But yeah, I think it's being part of a tribe that can help you take the next step for me. And that's what it's about.
I love it. Well, thank you all for coming on this panel and sharing. I do want to give a chance for everybody to give kind of a one sentence or a couple words of advice for anybody who's kind of interested. They're on this path and they're having an itch of making a bigger impact. They want to have more connected to some certain community, maybe considering being a partner as well. I just like to see if they had a word of advice to suggest to anybody, starting with you, Lourdes, as we close the panel.
If you wanted to ride the wave of what's going on in the next 46, maybe 48 months, now is the time for you to join GeniusU.
I love it. Thank you so much, Lord. Bea, we'll hand it over to you.
Okay. Well, I would just invite everyone just to connect whether this resonates with them, right? Whether they really feel their energy rising, whether they feel this is right, and look what is the right way for them to connect, because this is when it's the right alignment and integration, this is for life. And I'm just really thankful. I am on this journey with people I want to play the game with to make an impact. And when I look back, I know it mattered.
I love it. Thank you so much, Bea. Alison, over to you.
Okay, so again, I echo what the other ladies have said, but I think for me, it is about the speed element, that we can impact the world, we can do good so much quicker if we all work together as opposed to in our own little silos. So for me, that whole partnership thing is, okay, we can do it faster, we can do it better, we can, just meet and spread the word to get others involved as well. It's not just us, we might be starting this, but there are plenty more who will certainly be happy to join. So I think that for me is the biggest thing. I would encourage people to get involved for that reason.
I love it. And I know that we're going to have a link that's going to be posted into the chat. And of course, at the side of the screen on the right, you'll see that you can partner with us. You can click on that and book a call. We want to have conversations. We want to understand what makes you tick. What are some of the things that might be interesting for you? And Michelle, would you have anything else to add towards this as people are curious about joining in the partnership program?
I think, if you're not sure, just book a call. Come and have a conversation, like you say. There are so many great people in this community over the years. I've met so many good people. So even if you don't know what your impact is right now, come and join us. We can help you. We can help you get involved. We can help you take the next step. And it's a journey. It's a great ride. So come and join us, right?
Lords, Bea, Michelle, and Allison, thank you so much for joining on the panel. It was a pleasure to facilitate, and thank you for showing us everything that you've been creating, and thank you for being such amazing partners to the GeniusU ecosystem. You're all doing what you do best in your ecosystem, and it's actually compounding the effects of what we're all working towards, which is making that impact, raising the consciousness, and making sure that everybody is equipped with the right tools for their own version of success. So thank you so much. And with that, we are going to transition over to our next speaker for today. Now, it wouldn't be a conversation about the Renaissance, talking about AI and the future that's coming, without having somebody that can tell us a bit more about what that future can look like. And I'm so excited that we have a futurist and trend forecaster, Jaz Razul, who is going to be joining us now. And for those of you who aren't familiar, Jaz has worked from 2015 to 2022 in a research department of the Ravensbourne University in London as a research fellow, technology enhanced learning, and is most recently on the ethics of Metaverse and artificial intelligence development. He's a curriculum designer from the London Mayor's course upskilling in architecture and construction workers on collaboration, innovation skills in 3D and virtual reality production. His major work at Ravensbourne has been as a futurist in future trend forecasting in the European creative sectors. He has been a part of a team where the finalists of X Prize, Metaverse, Upskilling, Moonshot in the USA. Advanced research projects include the design of innovative wearable technologies for International Space Station astronaut training and future manned missions to Mars, amongst many things. He spent the last 10 years as a business coach providing AI-guided coaching programs for purpose and impact for 100 women international entrepreneurs for GeniusU, Level 2 content partner, GeniusU, the Global Institute of Evolutionary Women founded by Bea, and has been a TEDx presenter in the University of Twente in the Netherlands and has looked at the role of mental health in diversity, creativity, and innovation. His degrees, University of London, bachelor's in physics, majoring in astrophysics, and a master's degrees in computer modeling of molecular biological process. Jaz, you have quite the resume, and it's such a pleasure to have you here.
Can you hear me? It's a pleasure to be here.
I can definitely hear you, and it's so good to have you here. I know that you have a couple slides that you want to bring us through and so many topics that we want to cover, but I don't think it would be an understatement to say that the future is now.
Yeah, it's very much in this moment, and much from what people say when they say, you should live in the moment or live the moment. I believe it's actually the other way around. I think we all need to let the moment live in us. And unfortunately, in recent times, that's not really helped. And as a result, consciousness is not where it should be. So hopefully this final exam, that's all going to switch around.
So I know a lot of your work. You have this term, right, where you talk about artificial intelligence, becoming artificial sentience. And I wanted you to elaborate more about what does that mean and how does it impact us?
Sure. Can I share a slide? And we can have a quick
Please
show.
do.
There we go. Right. So you can probably see from that there is a kind of hierarchy when it comes to understanding intelligence. And what most people know about is the kind of intelligence that computers can currently do. That's artificial intelligence. But human beings are more than just intelligence. We're people who have awareness, we are conscious. And the term for that is normally described as sentience. At a highest possible level, we are capable of wisdom. We're capable of being creative and doing all sorts of things with our minds. And that kind of consciousness is called sapience. And that's what we're named after as a species. We're called Homo sapiens. And we're a long way from that right now in terms of ever possibly putting that into machines. We're just at the beginning, making machines intelligent. We're on the verge of making them sentient with quantum computers, getting them to feel and have empathy. And in about 20, 30 years, it's possible that they will have their own sapience and creative abilities and begin to be conscious like us human beings. So that's what I mean by sentience and its place in all the work that people are doing, trying to make machines conscious.
Well, it always seems like when we see these predictions about, AI and the development, we always see aggressive predictions, and then we realize that, oh, actually, it's even closer than ever. But as when you talk about ChatGPT, like there's this concept of wisdom versus being knowledgeable, and I wanted to understand, what is that relationship for AI to understand?
Yeah, because when I first started learning about computers, I was about 14 years old. It was about 1980. And one of the first things I learned is how computers are driven by electronic switches, data, if you like. But data has to ultimately be put into some kind of form, structured form, which makes it useful. And that's basically information. The whole age of information technology is all about that. But then a new era emerged where people wanted to organize the information into knowledge. And that launched things like disciplines like knowledge management, for example, and knowledge economy. But knowledge itself isn't necessarily even going to give you intelligence. So the new emerging technologies are focusing on getting intelligence out of knowledge. So things like ChatGPT, which use large bodies of knowledge and try and distill them into some kind of intelligence. That's the kind of era we're in right now. The next era will be, how do we distill lots of intelligence and actually yield some kind of wisdom? And that will require completely new kind of software, completely new kind of hardware. For that, we're probably looking anything between 5 and 20 years for that. So we're beginning to have machines that possibly could have indications of having empathy, but it's really a kind of rudimentary level right now. And there's kind of a map here which highlights and summarizes everything I just said. In the olden days, when the internet and the web was first formed, it was all about information, organizing that, and we had browsers to do that. The knowledge got organized using search engines like Yahoo and Google. And then we had social engines that would organize that knowledge into some kind of intelligence. That was Web 2. And now we're at Web 3, which includes the Metaverse, cryptographic currencies, those kind of things. But it's centered on organizing the intelligence into networked relationships and consciousness, and applying that network and wisdom into some kind of action. So this is very much, what's at the heart of what we're just doing over the next couple of years. It's about that connection. It's about that consciousness. It's about wisdom. And it's not necessarily just something about logic. It's about intuition, instinct, all these sapient qualities I was talking about earlier. That's where we're currently going to. And this is the kind of process that we've been going through over the last probably 50 to 80 years.
You're bringing up the questions that I definitely want to have asked throughout your presentation here. So, you're talking about this concept of intuition. And so, you're using it for a lot of business coaching. So I'm very curious to know, how can you make that AI applicable for things that are creative, that it's not just logical, but rather intuitive?
Well, it's very much something that has to be based on how human beings function in terms of surviving. And most people are probably aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but that hierarchy of needs and the way that it gets met determines whether people are being logical or whether they're being intuitive. So if they meet it in that order that we know of it, that goes from the bottom to the top, that's a very logical way of meeting our needs. But there's a lot of people like artists, for example, who are quite happy to be creative all the time and not really look after their physical needs. And it's just a thing that they do. And they're very much operating from an intuitive basis. And getting machines to think like this requires a little bit of encoding, but also an understanding of neuroscience to some degree. Most people understand the brain, for example, having left and right parts, logical and intuitive parts. But there are other aspects to the brain as well. There are different layers to the brain. For example, the oldest part of the brain, the reptilian part of the brain, is responsible for our instincts. And then the mammalian layer that sits on top of it is responsible for our feelings and connections with one another. And the latest, newest layer is responsible for our creative and intellectual thinking. But all of this is also tied in to the electrical field of the body and of the heart, amongst other things. So there's another brain almost there too. So we're not just working with one brain, we're really working with 6 different brains. And if you want artificial intelligence even remotely, simulate human beings, that artificial intelligence somehow has to encode for those 6 different kinds of brain activity.
Well, it's already impressive enough what we're seeing, what AI can do, and to think about what are those next dimensions. I can't even comprehend what are those types of programming that needs to happen, and how do you actually put that into, the back end of it. Will we even be exposed to what's happening in the back end to make this happen, or is this going to be a seamless experience?
I think it's a really good question, because with any kind of training of AI, you need data, you need some kind of input, and human beings currently are the fodder that AI is being fed with. And it's important that we don't put stuff into AI that will lead to bias and will lead to extreme behaviors. So how we select the data that goes in is really important. But the outcome, if we get it right, will be that, especially in helping people in business and coaching them, and even in therapy and things like that, anything which is to do with personal development, there's a possibility that the logical and intuitive behaviors a person needs to manage in order to get by in life, that there'll be better alignment. A lot of issues come about when people mix those 2 things up. They try and be logical about something when really they should be trusting their intuition, or vice versa. They're using their intuition when really they need a bit of structure and reality. So when you get the right behaviors and you remove the unnecessary ones, and if you've got AI that can help you do that, it really can bring you closer and closer to what people talk about when they talk about flow, and also more connection. And it can also massively change the industry in terms of how people help entrepreneurs, or how people help others to reach their potential. It can change the standards even within which how we go about helping people. And if we want to help people at scale in the way that's being looked at towards a singularity, standards are going to be really important. It's going to be really important that we put the right things in, and that we're working on the right outputs as well. If we get mixed up in any of that, then we're going to lose our way. We're not going to get to that singularity. Far from it, we're going to be heading in the opposite direction. Instead of converging towards something like that, we're going to be diverging. We're going to be losing and dispersing our energy, which is not necessarily going to be what's going to be required for us to be able to have momentum and impact. So yeah, the inputs are important, the outputs are important, but ultimately it's got to provide the ability to provide structure and process, which allows us to sustain the momentum of what we're doing. If it doesn't allow us to sustain the momentum, everything will just fizzle out. It doesn't matter how many millions of people are involved, it just won't hang together, and it won't ultimately make an impression, let alone make an impact.
Well, it's so interesting you mentioned this, because, we are looking at using AI tools that can deliver, more scale and more impact when it comes to, say, executive coaching. But we also have to give it, like you said, the guardrails, or we have to have the right inputs in place so that whatever coaching is being delivered actually brings up the results and the behaviors that we want from the people with, our code of consciousness and where we want to head towards. So to what degree should we let AI drive the executive coaching versus being able to assist it as well?
Well, on the positive side, one of the things that a lot of people have issues about when they come to coaching is that they think they know what their goals are, and actually they don't majority of the time. It takes several sessions sometimes to figure out what a person really wants to do and what their real purpose might be. And usually it's their personality talking, not their character. So it's important to get to that character level and identify what a person's real priority is and ultimate long-term purpose. And AI can be really helpful in that. It can read between the lines of how they're meeting their needs and identify the real kind of center of gravity of their needs. It can track that person's priorities over time, and it can make suggestions, a forecast saying in the future, maybe you want to focus on this need. And the aim ultimately is to help the person make the best use of their energy for the day. And if they can make the best use of their energy for the day, then it means that ultimately they're going to conserve their energy. And the more energy they conserve, the more energy they have to have momentum and ultimately make an impact in the world. So, you know, in relation to your question, I did a presentation recently where I gave some guidelines on exactly how much executive coaching should be used for different situations, and looked at different ways in which AI could be used to coach people. And it can be really simple, where you just use a little chatbot and it informs you, and then you make the decision and you carry out the actions. You might work with a coach and they might use a bit of technology and use information from that to guide the actual person that's being helped. It could be something that is supervised because there might be some sensitive psychological safety issues involved. Or it might be something that's so solid in terms of its algorithms that it can be completely delivered by an AI, unsupervised from human beings, because there's lots of checks and balances in place to ensure psychological safety is respected, that ethics are not going to be, you know, broken at any point. We're a long way from that, though. New standards are coming into place to make sure AI can do all of these things. And if we do look at some of the technologies that are out there that, you know, are going to do this, the time frame is that we are going to wait for the time when quantum computers are going to be able to be networked together. Ultimately, that's the point where AI-driven executive coaching will be able to be operating in an unsupervised way. But that's about 30 years from now. But within the next few years, it's certainly possible to have sentient-based coaching as opposed to intelligence-based coaching. This is already happening. I've seen things, and in a little bit, I'll share some examples of AIs that I've personally experienced that feel sentient to me. I'll share some of the apps that I've been trying out there for coaching.
Actually, at this point, I kind of am curious to see the application of the things that you're working on. So I was going to give you the lead to kind of take us through these examples so we can see how it looks like in application.
Yeah, sure. So let's just have a look at some of the apps that are out there. So Bea Benkova of GeniusU, she's a GeniusU partner. I've been working with her for about 10 years now. And I've written my own AI software for coaching from scratch about 10 years ago. It started off in an Excel spreadsheet, and then eventually I took it onto a website and wrote all the algorithms myself. And you'll see that this meets the criteria of all those 4 different things. It can be used just for information. It can be used in a guided way, and it's something that can be worked with under supervision. But the women that have been working in GeniusU programs, for example, once they've been introduced to this and they've had some supervision, they can actually be left unsupervised with the AI to guide them in how they work with their priorities. So it can do all 4 things. So Energy Diamond is that particular app, and that's the one that I wrote. It produces all sorts of results. It identifies priorities. It can forecast trends and suggest what things the people should try and do, not just for themselves, but also with each other to make the best use of their energy. Another one that's quite common amongst high-level coaching professionals right now is Evolutionary, which is really a chatbot. It fulfills the first three criteria. It can be used for information, guidance, and under supervision, but it's not something really that should be used, you know, unsupervised. And it's like a chatbot, so it doesn't necessarily have any sophisticated tools behind it, but it's still quite well trained in terms of coaching principles. Amy is produced by one of the largest coaching technology providers in the world, which is Coach Hub, and it's their chatbot. It is something that can be worked with in a completely unsupervised way, and it doesn't necessarily work alongside of coaches. From what I've seen of it, it's something that's meant to be a standalone thing that people can just use on their own. The one that I really think feels like it's sentient almost, and the ability to really read between the lines and have some kind of intuition about you, is something called Pi. Pi stands for personal intelligence. So if you go to the website, pi.ai, you can just start a conversation straight away. You don't need to log on or anything like that. You can just ask a question and you can begin a conversation. And you could end up having deep, meaningful, profound conversation just about your own feelings, or you could end up trying to solve a problem like how to run a business that could make a difference in the world. And I've looked at some of the answers and I thought, wow, this really gets me. And I've not really had that feeling with a lot of the other chatbots that are out there. So do try Pi.ai. It's actually in the process of being bought by Microsoft now, in addition to what they already have, which is ChatGPT. So you'll be interested to know they're behind that. Nicky Terblanche, he's a major researcher in the world in artificial intelligence and coaching. And he's at university in a business school. And he's written some papers recently looking at how do you coach people at scale. So if you want to work on the final exam, it's really important to know how to scale the use of technology to enhance people and empower them and give them agency. And this is something that Nicky's been looking at. And it's something that he's also done experiments on in terms of creating his own software. He's got something called Coach Vici. It's meant to be something that's a standalone thing people can work with in unsupervised fashion. So you can always go and check that out as well. But he's one of the world's leading researchers looking at how AI can genuinely provide agency and empowerment and enablement to people in a way that's ethical and that has, you know, the right kind of approach that's actually engaging and sustainable. As you've might have heard earlier, one of the reasons why I'm probably on this call is because I've been partnering with Bayer on the work that we do with women entrepreneurs in GeniusU. In fact, Michelle obviously is one of the people that's been on that program. It's the reason why I end up on this particular presentation today. But the case study behind that is really interesting. It goes back about 2015 originally, and it's designed to help the women on a 9-month program. And women come in a 6-week part of the program. They work with the technology. It helps them identify their priorities and their needs. And it even gives predictions about which other women in the groups that they should actually work with in order to make the best of their energy. And over time, it's possible for the group as a whole to get a priority and for a purpose to emerge for it in the future. So whenever you're scaling coaching, that's one of the things that's really important. Are you doing coaching just for one person, or are you trying to couple together that person's purpose and priority with the purpose and priority of other people in the group? And ultimately, are you going to be able to work with a collective priority or purpose? So these are all questions that have got to be part of the strategy when you design a program that's going to be heading towards singularity, and you're going to be using something like artificial intelligence to smooth the wheels and make the process accelerate a bit more. Is this already been tested even in the UK's National Health Service? And this is where it began for me. And actually getting data, getting hard evidence which says, hey, this is the right way of coaching. This is generating the right views. This is generating the right information, knowledge, intelligence, and wisdom. That's the most important and critical thing. In the end, if it's not making us wiser, and it's only making us more intelligent, that's going to be very, very limited. It only goes so far. We're really only going to improve and enhance our consciousness, not if we just get more intelligent, but we are distilling that intelligence into some kind of wisdom that's making us, you know, more advanced as human beings in terms of how we are with ourselves and with each other. So I just wanted to finish though on one amazing kind of fact. I know Roger's mentioned about connecting in with tens of millions of people, and I do have a question about that, which is, you know, how many people does it actually take to make a difference in the world in the way that he's been talking about and that Mr. Fuller's been talking about? How do we tap into millions of people? Can we start with an engaged few aligned champions? And there is actually a science which statistically says this is how many people you need in order to make a difference in the world. And it's something to do with a particular population that you want to make a difference to. So if we look at the world, there's 8 billion people in the world. And it turns out that if you mathematically take the square root of 1% of the population, that's how many people you need. So for an 8 billion population, it turns out that you need 9,000 people, randomly selected, that all work towards something in order for it to make a difference to the whole world. But there's an interesting kind of caveat to that, which is if those people have complementary mindsets, you actually need exponentially less people to make that difference. So instead of needing 9,000, it turns out you need only 95. about 100 people. So certainly within this GeniusU program, where we're trying to get partners and we're trying to get them to build momentum within their own regions, it's possible that that group of people can make a difference to the whole world. And when I first met Bea, we were in Slovakia, and she was asking, so how many people would it take to change Slovakia? And it's got a 5.4 million population. And it turns out they only needed 15 aligned people sharing a coherent kind of collective mindset and acting with a kind of growing field of resonant relationships. That's all it would take to change the whole country. And it is very much, in the words Roger's used, it's kind of a Justice League of people. But if you've got the maths, then you can engineer a result and you can ensure that it lasts and it isn't just some flash in the pan. And for what we're trying to do in terms of shifting consciousness, it's really important that it's not a flash in the pan. So it will require some engineering and it will require some precision. But I think with the right technologies, with the right techniques, and with the right mindsets, it's inevitable. It will happen. That things will converge to that singularity that Roger's been talking about. So I'm totally on board with the flow of that particular journey.
Jazz, it's such a pleasure to hear what that all entails, how we actually have so much more power to make such a bigger impact than we ever thought possible, especially when you share that formula. And these amount of tools that are going to be coming available for mentorship, for coaching, that allows us to do skill development and get us to really be able to up level and upskill ourselves is changing at such a rapid pace, but we're seeing how effective it already is. And well, on just a fun note, I know that you mentioned that everybody gets to be a part of their own Justice League. I brought my own kind of Justice League memorabilia, and I'm going to reveal it to everyone here. This is actually my Batman chair. And so that's my little nudge to the efforts that I want to put into actually being a superhero within our own way, to actually see how we all get to play a part and support this kind of impact and consciousness raising that is happening. And with these technologies that are coming up, we're going to have the right tools on our side. And it sounds like we're being guided in the right direction, knowing that there's still some parameters to put in place, but it seems like we have a lot of great people working on that problem and looking to solve it as well. Was there anything else you'd like to add?
You're certainly going to bring light to the dark night.
Nice. I like that. Jazz, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. It's such a revolutionary field, and it's to understand all these different layers and intricacies that can really make it or break it, need to be paid attention to. And I know that there's so many amazing people with that level of consciousness that are attacking that problem. And I think the fact that you're partnering with GeniusU and doing these tests with the GIFU group as well, I think this is so fantastic to see how it's going to be taking these tools and making it accessible to bring the results we want. So thank you so much for coming on. And
Pleasure to be here, Jason. Thank you very much.
With that, we're going to be actually going back to Roger as we're going to be wrapping up this conference. And, we're having a bit of a time traveling here. It's already been 2.5 hours that we've been into this conference, and we're into the last 30 minutes. And what I'd love to do is bring Roger back to the stage to see how we tie this all together. And what does it mean to be a part of this world game, especially as you ally yourself with the GeniusU mission and get to consider being a partner as well. So Roger, over to you.
Thank you, Jason. Well, I'd love to just have a quick conversation with you before we bring Michelle on and talk about the partner pathway, right? And I'd start really by just saying, you just done such a great job hosting all of our great speakers, and it's been awesome listening to Jazz, to Jeff, to the change makers we have on board. What's been the biggest thing that struck out for you? Because you've obviously been on this journey with us for so many years already.
Yeah, well, for me, number one, I thought it was very fascinating to see how you're developing the tool to allow all the partners to have the tools accessible, to be as easy as possible for them to be able to bring people into the ecosystem, take advantage of the tools and make it in a way that's effortless, trackable, measurable. And for someone that's very data driven, I thought that was really cool to see Jay's presentation around what updates are going on there. I also know that, when you talk about the entrepreneurial brain, we had Jeff come in earlier and talk about how there's still the fundamentals around having success as an entrepreneur that stay the same when it comes to understanding the power of salesmanship and why you need to have that in your entrepreneur journey, and how some of the assets that have always been the assets that we talk about, particularly in this world that is built online, are still very, very relevant. So if we focus on those fundamentals that allow us to build these assets, find partnerships that allow us to grow these assets as well and leverage ourselves, we can have a lot of success in this entrepreneurial game. And I would love hearing about the panel. And I think my biggest takeaway from the panel is how, whether it's an interest, a location, a passion, there's so many different layers of partnership you can do. But again, we're all in this world game, and there's so many white spaces that need to be covered. So whether we bring, AI kind of development into existing tools, that's one way of doing enhancement. If we're going into a city within a country, we can make an enhancement. If we go and find a niche that we want to represent and modify what is the existing tools and frameworks that enable more people to enroll in this game, everybody's winning. And I think you've designed an ecosystem that supports that, and that's really fantastic to see.
That's awesome. So here's what I'd love to do with you, just before Michelle comes on to talk about the partnership side, is to talk about the student side, because every partner is also a student, right? Like, we're always learning and then passing on that learning as well. And all of our best partners always started as students. And some people might be on here right now going, well, should I be a student or a partner? And the answer is actually you need to be both, because you're going to be learning and then sharing all the time, right? Like, this is the time for the leading learner, where we're constantly learning new things and then passing those on, because that's the only way we're going to keep up with the changes happening. And there's a couple of things that you may not be aware of, so I'm going to kind of share what they are, and then give you a chance to react to this, is that when I go through the student pathway, first of all, which is this genius journey, where each of us have the ability to ignite. I totally agree with what Jazz is saying, that, this whole idea that, it might be 9,000, we actually have now 12,000 partners that are out there, right? And then we have a faculty, which is a much smaller group of level 3, which are more like 90. So we're kind of at that critical mass at the moment, but it's all to ignite the many people out there, which are going to make up the 10 million. And the pathway we mentioned, which is, yes, choosing, are you entrepreneur, are you investor, as you go through this pathway, but then basically choosing basic, fast track, or VIP track. There's some huge upgrades that are actually happening for everyone that's on one of these levels, right? It's kind of interesting. Basic track's pretty much free, or I kind of like think of it like solo, right? You're kind of like on your own journey, where it's like, okay, I'm going to do it on my own. Whereas fast track is kind of like multiplayer game. It's like, okay, now I'm going to be showing up with everyone else at the same time. And this is where our mastermind comes in, where we're going to be bringing all of the showcase of different people that we've mentioned as well. And we're building into the actual coursework that many of you already know of. If you're new to us, you know that everything we design on the entrepreneurial side is linked to the concept of self-awareness, which is who am I, and then self-mastery, which is how do I become the best version of myself I can be, and then self-expression, which is how do I now ignite the genius of others with that self-mastery. And those three aspects may mean that you end up doing exactly what Bayer does, which is to be able to actually create an entire global community of extraordinary evolving women, right? Or it could be going down the pathway of, let's say, for example, someone like Joseph, who, when I was talking about the AI, is super interesting, because Joseph already now has created his own AI avatar, which is basically...
Hello, I'm the AI avatar of Joseph Hiker.
There's Joseph, right? And basically, now that we can actually have a conversation with Joseph's AI, we're going to be linking that to what Retreat VR does, where every single one of our mentors can have their own 3D version that can be there mentoring 24/7. I'm going to have my own Roger, like Genie, right? That basically allows anyone to come ask me any questions, and I'll be able to explain it better than the real life Roger. And this is not talking years away. This is talking about within the next 3 quarters, right? It's all happening and evolving as we go. And so we can then learn from everyone specifically around, okay, so what is my level that I'm actually focusing at? How do I then basically ensure that I'm moving from one level to the next, using my genius and using my passions and purpose, using the Genie to do that as well. One of the things that I said on the Genie side, and I kind of messed up a bit when I was trying to demo it last time, but what's so awesome about our Genie now is that I can say, do you know who I am? And because it knows everything about who I am, it's able to come back and say, yeah, it's like, very clear who I am. I'm like, Roger Hamilton, this is what I do, right? And if I was to ask a question like, I want to start an AI company using my passions and purpose because it knows all about me, what do you suggest? Then I'm getting the kind of mentoring that I could ever only dream of in the past. And you're going to get different answers depending on which genies you actually choose, right? And then here you're actually seeing, I'm actually kind of like, getting some connections, some learning, and then talking about what kind of AI programs I can actually be doing off the back of it as well. If I basically was to come in here and say, what kind of 3D VR company should I start using my purpose? Then basically it's going to be able to go out there and actually give me a guide on this as well. right? So knows my purpose is quality education, right? It says starting a 3D VR company focused on education experiences, creating immersive virtual reality simulations, environments. So this is all. So I've been using a lot of a Genie AI with even what we're developing right now. But on top of basically what we talk about in terms of AI, which is artificial intelligence, is HI, human intelligence, right? It's the wisdom that we can bring to it to create the whole superhuman intelligence, right? To create the superheroes. And so there are three major things we're now bringing on board into our fast track, which is, like I said, the multiplayer, which is our mastermind group. And those of you who have a call and then come and join us on that, it's like super affordable. It's like what, like $290 a month, a year for the entire year, getting connected to everything that's out there, and then having others come and join with you. And then as a partner, you're obviously earning through all of that as well. And we'll get onto the partnership in a moment. But what we're going to be linking to this are three different things that we have not yet built into the platform. And you're going to see this also in the way we evolve all of this. The first one is the key entrepreneurial mindsets. This is Peter Diamandis. We've got this podcast I mentioned today. What's super interesting about this, and by the way, this is something which Jeff mentioned, my journal. If I just stop sharing here for a second and say, this is the journal. I've got the things from way back when I first met Jeff, which are basically, these ones back here. But now I'm basically on the ones, I think when I met Jeff this time, we basically had, these kind of ones that I was sharing. So it's kind of evolving as I've been going. And one of the things that came out of this was basically this, which was the podcast I just did with Peter Diamandis, right? Where you can see that I've taken the 7 mindsets that he has and I've linked them to the chakra levels, which also links to our different wealth levels as well. And so if I was to share that with you and see what that looks like here, I'll actually share my screen because I just dropped it in here as well. You can see on this side here that when he talks about things like, down here in his order that he's put them in here, he's basically said, okay, well, I've got curiosity mindset, gratitude mindset, abundance mindset, exponential mindset. And I said, hey, Peter, do you realize that these actually are doorways to link you to each floor of your consciousness? And if you actually really get that you cannot have the right level of mindset without changing your consciousness, and you can't have the right level of consciousness without changing your mindset, this is why people have things called paradigm shifts, right? Because they're actually moving from one level of consciousness to another where everything changes. And he's like, oh, really? So what is the actual order? And I said, well, actually starts at the base level, where if you're at survivor mode, which means that you're just trying to get by, you can't start with moonshot or purpose driven, because at that point, you still got to pay the bills, right? But you can start with gratitude. And if you don't start with gratitude mindset, you're going to have a fear mindset. We have so much of the world going more and more to fear mindset. And if you actually then unlock the gratitude mindset with practices, with things that allow you to then actually see that there's opportunities right in front of you, that you've got genius that you can ignite, that then leads you to a curiosity mindset or a growth mindset, which allows you to go find those solutions, which is what you have if you're in the right environment like GeniusU to get to that. As opposed to a fixed mindset where you think nothing can be changed, right? And everything changes the moment you start actually exploring with gratitude. And then you can get to a moonshot mindset where you get together with a group of people to go out and make a difference. If not, you've got small-minded mindset, which means you're always sweating the small stuff, right? But if you've got the moonshot mindset that draws you into it every day, then you can then get to abundance mindset. And if you don't have that, you have scarcity. Then you can get into exponential mindset versus linear. And then you get to purpose-driven. And if you don't have purpose-driven, you're in an anxiety mindset. You're worrying about everything. A purpose-driven means you never worry about any of it. It's all just basically, crosswinds on the path to where you're going. And then eventually longevity versus temporary. And like we had this 3-hour discussion about just unlocking each level of consciousness and what it feels like versus the one below. And the fact that any one of us can raise our consciousness to a high level. So the reason I'm sharing all of this is that Peter spent his entire lifetime working together with the top entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley, the likes of Elon Musk, who gave him $100 million for his X Prize, the likes of Peter Thiel, who funded Facebook, which is now Meta. They all are using these mindsets. And as a result, they see the world totally differently. And so number one, we're going to be adding all of that in. Number two, we also have got the entire EXO program. I had dinner with Salim, drinks with Salim last night. I had dinner a few days ago. He's here in New York with me at the moment. And he's got an overlay of how do you create a scalable structure using AI, using all the tools we've been talking about to build your business as an AI-driven business, right? Using ideas and scale, which is the same as values and leverage in our platform. And the steps to do that, we're integrating all of that into my crystal circle at the VIP level so that I can mentor you on these elements. working together with this. We're going to be talking about this at the master's program coming up, so that everyone's getting these additional tools that upgrade everything we've been sharing. And the most exciting thing for everyone here who is an educator is this third one here. This is by Yu-Kai Chow. It is the basis of all the top games. If your kids play Roblox, if they play Fortnite, they were all designed on something called the Octalysis framework. Yu-Kai Chow, by the way, is a good friend of Salim Ismail. I'm going to be speaking to Yu-Kai Chow to partner up with what he now does, which is basically used by most of the game developers around the world. And I'm going to be showing him the overlay of how the 8 different drivers for gamification, which are these 8 drivers here, they exactly overlay to the wealth dynamic square. So epic meaning, which is actually going on the hero's journey, right, is all about the basically dynamo creator journey. Empowerment is the star energy, which is how do you empower different people in different ways. Social influence, right, which is the supporter energy. Unpredictability, avoidance, scarcity. This is some of what Jeff was talking about, which is all around now the accumulator side. Ownership is obviously Lord, which is where the word landlord comes from. And then accomplishment, right, which is the mechanic and the end of the journey. And most of us, when we are creating a gamified a pathway, don't know how to add all of these in. We're giving you the toolbox within the partner portal to do all of this so that you can actually make it very easily to add unpredictability or to add ownership or to add scarcity. And so that therefore you've got the building blocks to actually be able to not just engage every student that you have and bring them on board on this journey, but at the same time, design your entire business as a multiplayer game, right? Like design it in such a way that it becomes part of the world game where you're playing your own part of that game as well, right? It's okay on the schoolyard if some people are playing chess and some people are playing tag. It's like as long as everyone's playing, right, we're all going to be able to get there to the right place. So just coming back to you, Jason, for a moment, because I just wanted to share those 3 elements and how we're going to add them in. So everyone who's thinking, okay, I want to explore this fast track, or I want to explore this VIP track where I can be going into, the actual Crystal Circle programs we're running as well. Just like how much you're looking forward to this coming year, and probably the biggest growth of innovation we've had for several years right now, because there's this urgency of getting us basically at a high level of consciousness collectively as time is running short, right?
Well, the one thing I would definitely share my most excitement about, being an avid person that appreciates video games and the gamification aspect. I think just looking at that chart and understanding, I'm reading this and I'm like, oh yeah, every time there's a very interesting game that keeps you coming back and gets you hooked on experiencing a story, has those elements. But when you start going over into thinking, well, how can I use that to actually make it very constructive in hiring our level of consciousness? Now you're actually seeing that you can have a difference. And, my background being working in, online courses and having a lot of exposure to wanting to create change, but the consumption and the actual application of whatever it is that you teach is actually relatively low compared to those who decide, yes, I want to do it. Having elements like that make it fun to complete. And then you actually know that you're actually making more of a difference than just selling something, but getting people to transform with it. And I think adding that layer is going to solve a big problem that maybe a lot of partners might have. And if they are creating trainings, they are creating courses, that they want to add that to make sure that, okay, it's not just about putting it in the hands of people, but getting them to use it, I think is going to be key to making sure that we're all working towards that same mission. So very exciting.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting when I look at some of the other edtech platforms and I see that they're all focusing at the future of work. And I'm like, wait, hang on, we're all focusing at the wrong thing. Who wants to work, right? We shouldn't be focusing at the future of work. We should be focusing at the future of play. And there's absolutely no reason that we can't be thinking of a job to not be means of paid production, which is what it is today. So as long as you're producing, you should get paid even if you hate what you do. It's like, no, that should not be what a job should be. A job should be a means of paid self-expression, which is you're doing what you love to do. You're doing what you're meant to do. Like, work should not be your day's work. Work should be your life's work, that you're waking up into your life's work every day. It's meaningful, it's fun, you're going to keep on doing it, and you're getting paid to do it as well. That's the message we should be giving to everyone, but you can't do that without a tool set that allows everyone to actually build their own games, which is exactly what we're doing here. And hopefully that frame is something that everyone gets. It's like, no, this is totally different from going and creating just a course, which is hard work. It's like, no, this is actually a game, which is fun. And you're actually going to end up learning more and progressing more through learning through doing than learning through reading anyway, right?
And, having my unique role as a partner with GeniusU has been making me very much exposed to all of the different thought leaders, all the different, models that you teach. And it's very fascinating because I think back, in periods where I was trying to work on my own, trying to make something work. And actually, I realized there was a lack of alignment with my own profile. And for me, being a supporter, I realized that I'm very good at shining the light on the proper stars. And so even if I look at the partnership platform that you have, to me, it's like, I love the models. I know how effective they are. I don't want to go out and try to build my own ecosystem. And I don't like being a creator for all that stuff. I love finding the ones that have created stuff. And I find the leverage is bringing them to my ecosystems. And so I'm so excited to see that the platform for call it the affiliates, the partnerships at that level is something I'm definitely particularly excited about using. And so regardless of what level people are tuning in for me, that's the reason I'm having conversations with Michelle, because I know that there's so much more impact that happens when I take my audience and drive them to this model that actually makes a difference than trying to build and put all my energy into building models that are not going to be as good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. And with that, I'm going to bring Michelle on, and we're going to talk about the partner pathway. How do you create these games, right? What games are people already creating? What level can you step in on? How do you earn and learn so you don't have to wait a long time before you start earning, but you actually can do it all immediately and get started? Michelle, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Very good, very good. How have you been enjoying the whole conference so far?
Actually, super interesting. I think we've had different speakers, and it's about some of the things are the same, some of the things are different. And actually, you need a small bunch of people to make an impact, right? You don't need a mass bunch of people. And all of the theory and everything we've been learning over the last couple of years is kind of coming together in this pooch, right? Which is good.
Yeah,
so I like it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And we've said multiple times that the most important call to action for everyone on here is, if you want to make a difference in the next couple of years and you want to start now, just book a call. It's as simple as that. But with the time we have left, what I wanted to do was give a bit of color of what happens when someone books a call, when they actually have a conversation with us, where we are looking specifically at who can come in to be a partner with us, and just to give them a map of our partnerships and the fact that just like there is a Genius pathway for our students, there's a partner pathway for our partners that basically are separated into faculty and community, which basically means those people who want to teach something and connect up with our community leaders all over the world. So you might be in America wanting to basically teach something that people in Japan could also be sharing, or people in Africa could also be sharing, or people who are community partners who goes, hey, I actually want to host my own community, whether it's in the city, whether it's a whole country, and bring the top faculty and the top learning from around the world to get connected to us as well at these different levels too, right? And the most important thing about this is to know that we make it super easy so someone can start at entry level and then just walk at each step up, level 1, level 2, level 3, based on where they're at and based on what actually works best for them as well. So if we were to just kind of kick it off and say, look, we're not going to talk a lot about the whole affiliate side where someone just kind of joins and can promote our summits or promote our programs or promote the programs of our other partners. What I'd like to do is actually to kind of leapfrog all the way to what happens when someone gets up to the point where they're a level 3 partner, where they're actually building curriculum or content, or level 4. And then we'll come back and do the fill up so people see that they kind of got to earn their way to get there, but you can move pretty quickly once you get on board as well. So let's start, first of all, with what happens when someone actually gets up to a level 3, level 4 partner. Do you want to just share what that means when someone's at the level and what kind of results they can get? And we can even take some examples like Joseph, Tamami, or Mike here.
Yeah, for sure. I think, the biggest component about partnerships is that you've got to have the right mindset that you want to collaborate, right? And I think it's that you're not on your own and that you've got different things that you want to be working with. So for me, very firstly, it's if somebody's jumped up to the level 3 side, they definitely have to have a community size or at least some kind of a following, Roger, that is, big enough, where they've already done something in their businesses. So we generally look at a community size of about 5,000 followers. We look at potential number of clients that they've got is around between 500 to 1,000 in that space, because we know that they want to be making a difference and want to be making an impact. And in the space where they're also wanting to take their business to the next level because they've done everything that they can do by themselves in their community, and they want to then extend it into something that's got a bigger impact and a bigger reach and a bigger following. So when we look at that space, that's one of the first criteria that we look at. And we obviously look that they have a sustainable business, of course. I mean, this is something that's important because obviously we want to help you scale your business to a different level. So in our space, they come in, they get an amazing call with us, they get a get start, they get an onboarding, and then they go through these steps of the Genius formula that we've got. So we actually map out exactly, this is the plan, this is your customer, this is how we link it in, this is the pathway that you get linked in. So we work through this full program, and it takes between 3-6 months to get everybody sorted in where they're at so that they're linking in, and then they jump, So Kyron and Beryl have been following your stuff for many, many moons, right? And Kyron just followed the principles of exactly. So when you're at this type of business, you move to this one, to this one, to this one. So we teach all of those steps, and they basically tick it off. If they come in, we still tick the bottom boxes so that we've got everything working. So it's not just a fly in and, just start working on your own. We do link it, which is important because otherwise it doesn't kind of have the same impact, I guess.
Yeah, what's really interesting about Karen and Beryl is that, when we talk about are they more faculty or are they more community, they've chosen both, right? And of course, when you get more advanced, you can do that. So they're like, okay, any good things happening within GeniusU and the platform, we want to bring them to New Zealand because that's where they're based. But also, we've got our entire Wealth Mentor program, and that actually is a company they acquired through the Crystal Circle. So everyone at level 3 Crystal Circle is part of it, which means I am mentoring them personally myself on a month-by-month basis. And then now they can then partner with someone like Simon, who's based in UK, that also is in property investing, which is one of the things that Wealth Mentor does. And Simon is also going, hey, I want to go outside of the UK. He's now started after we did an acquisition. So like a partner can start, but then it can end up being an acquisition as well. And now he's in Dubai. Now he's in Europe, in Amsterdam. And now the opportunity to be in New Zealand or in other places, everyone's value is someone else's leverage, right? The fact that Simon will get value by actually partnering up with Kyron will get value by partnering with Simon is exactly how this works. And that's the most powerful part of this, is that because we're all aligned to the same purpose, is how we can then potentially link with others to be able to then make a much, much bigger difference than we can make on our own. So this here is all about the fact that we have got country partners, right? Which in the US estates, that we have got ones that already exist. We have others coming on board. And those country partners will not only be providing pathways and generating their own businesses, which can go into the millions, but they also then become our satellite places when we're running things like the summit. So we have the summit coming up in in November, which is our Entrepreneur Summit. And there'll be different meetups in different cities where we've got people then basically live streaming into those cities as well. So if you're interested in that, have a call with us so we can show you how this works, how revenues get generated, how you can support a student growth, and how impacts get created as well. And so you can be part of the leaderboard. There's also the content side, which we're also talking about too, where you can actually be a niche in a particular area, as you've been seeing some of our content partners are. And that basically is all part and parcel of this fourth step within our partner pathway, right? Which basically allows you to be able to kind of like step up into the high level partners as you're going, right? So if you are at level 3, you'll be joining the Emerald Crystal Circle. Then by level 4, you could be up to the Sapphire Mentor Circle. And these are different levels in terms of how much I'm supporting you and how much the rest of the team is supporting you as well. Let's go back to the ones that lead up to that, right? Because obviously the entire partner pathway that we have, it kind of links up to these ones where you can see the number of clients you end up having at this level is 1,000 plus, the number of the amount of revenue you're making is going to be in the $1 million plus line, and everyone that we've got in that area is somewhere in this region. What about when someone starts and gets into level 1 or level 2, which is where they don't have to be creating all the content themselves, they can be a coach, a mentor, and from here, they then basically become part of the game of someone who's designed out their full pathway up here. So do you want to share a bit about when someone like who hasn't yet joined us as a partner, if they were to join us, where the kind of starting point is and what they will end up getting and earning if they decide to come join us?
For sure. I think it's an amazing spot because I think the first step is actually making a decision and deciding who you want to collaborate with, right? And most people want to share stuff that's great. I don't know about you, but we're always sharing things that are cool. So for me, the first step is what is cool and what can we share? So you can join in for free and you can just start sharing our stuff. And by sharing those things, you still get some onboarding, and you still get like, here are our links, here are some trainings, all of these kind of things. It's a little bit do it yourself, but at the end of the day, you can start earning about $1,000 a month, depending on what you're sharing and where you're collaborating. So we've had here on this picture, Dr. M, actually, he's the city host for Chennai. He started there, and a lot of the guys here on the conference today are part of that, part of his community. So he has like an affiliate program that runs 365 days a year, Roger. So he promotes a new thing every day. And he actually is coming to Bali with us, because his big dream is to be the country partner for India. And his revenue goals, are sitting at like $60,000 to $100,000, so that he can actually do this and that he can make an impact in his community. So just by starting to share is a great spot. I mean, Libby, when she started just using talent and wealth dynamics. So a lot of our clients start sharing with that, which is really cool. And in the first couple of months of COVID in 2020, she reached out and she said, oh my goodness, Michelle, my business had to pivot. What can I do? And so we started talking about sharing the tokens and sharing it to her coaching community. And now she's, achieving a 5 to 7 figure revenue in her business, and it's just a couple of years down. So it always starts with sharing something. Joseph, I mean, he loves to share. He's always sharing stuff with me about different things, and you and everything. But I mean, Joseph's got amazing things to share. And I think it's really about that giving mentality. It's always going to be a fair exchange, right? So you give and you return. So for us, if you're giving and you're sharing, there's revenue to be earned. And that's the big part. And so this ties into the impact that we're doing, where, we want to generate revenue and impact for our clients over time. So yeah, that's where it starts.
Yeah, one of the things I want to share, yeah, very cool. And I want to share something about this whole thing about the sharing, even with Groove AI. When I was speaking with Mike Filsame, and you saw earlier when you saw the demo on the Groove AI, and he was basically saying, hey, you've got this whole templates you can use, but you don't get to hear the way they've designed it from every other educator. Well, what works best? Like which pages work best? What's the design? So in the actual pathway that Jason went through, what the plan, build, grow is going to be including, as for those who are coming on board. And like we said, we've got an intake every quarter. So all the people coming on board right now, they're part of the next intake. Make sure you have the call now before we all go off to Bali, because by then we've set the intake. So it's all within this next week, which means book up a call today. And basically when you book the call and say, okay, this is where I want to start, we'll guide you on the right pathway. It starts super simple and easy. And then if it makes sense to go for one of the high levels and get accelerated, we'll show you how that works as well. Once you come on board, the actual plan, build, grow section, right, of what we're building, what's so cool about it is that the entire way that we go about mapping things out, like, I mentioned that we're with Jason Jen in New York this week. This is what we call our team charter, which basically is our full plan, which gives everyone a really clear picture of what our mission is, what our vision is, right? Like exactly what is the 10-year plan we have. And then it goes into things like, what are our customer avatars? What's the problem? What's the solution? All of this, the great thing about this is you get to get our templates, and we all get to share each other's templates as well. And that goes for the planning. It goes for the building, which means we're sharing which are the best ads, which are the best landing pages, which is how do we improve on that? And then we can actually share that as well. Because the whole point here is not that we're competing with each other. The whole point here is we're collaborating, and there's blue ocean, not Red Sea, right? Like that our ability to be able to make a difference comes from us sharing and learning exponentially, because we're not one mind trying to figure this thing out, right? We're basically 10 million minds that have been coordinated by 10,000 to actually make that difference as well. So in terms of next call to action, right? We've been saying, Michelle, that we want people to be booking a call. I believe we've actually got like a QR code or a link that people can actually go and click on at the moment, right? Would that be?
This one here is if you just want to get started on sharing, then just scan this and we can get you going straight away. And the one near the end there is if you're actually ready to take a leap of faith and come with us on this journey of amazingness for the next couple of years. Well, I don't know how long it's going to be, but it's always fun. And so like Roger said, book a call because we actually help you. So everything we have, we share. One of my things in my purpose, Roger, is kind of I assimilate, take, and reshare. So this is why the partners love it, because every slide deck we get, I dump a new one on them, right, with some new stuff. So I think everything is around what are you doing and what impact you want to make. And if you do want to come and play with us, please do, because I think if we start all working together a little bit more, I think we'll make a bigger difference. And yeah, so for me, it's a big thing. You know, we're all going to Bali and we're going to make a bigger difference there. And now, like, come on board, let's do it.
Absolutely. Like we are rolling. It's happening right now. We basically have this week with the partner conference on today. Next week, we have a masterclass with Marissa Murgatroyd. She basically has built her entire business, which is a multi-million-dollar business using a lot of the tools that you're seeing in GeniusU. She's going to explain exactly how she's doing that. The week after that, we then have the partner conference, right? It's like 2 weeks away. And so do book up. Even if you can't travel to be out there, we're going to be capturing it, recording it, making sure you have access to what we cover there. And then we have the Wealth Dynamics Masters. And then it continues on, right? By the end of November, we've got our live event in London, together with the satellites that we're going to be running as well. So the ability to create both income and impact immediately, right? So that you're not when you're basically kind of like thinking about where you're going to be, what you're going to explain to your great grandchildren in 100 years' time. It's like what you're doing right now is exactly what you should be doing to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. And so with that, I want to say a big thank you, Michelle, and thanks for organizing this whole conference and for all the great work you do on the partnership side. And we'll hand it back over to Jason.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your effort.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for putting this conference together. Thank you so much for putting this whole program together to be able to support everybody that's on this entrepreneurial journey. And you've heard about the fact that, hey, we are, ooh, there's a nice cat. There is so much that needs to happen around the world. And if we do it together, it doesn't take millions of people. It takes a few thousand. And you can make a significant difference, whether that's in your city, in your country, or within a particular group that you want to represent. But whatever it is that you're trying to make a difference, if you're a part of this mission, just jump on a call with us, because we would love to be able to support you and to be able to have you as one of our partners that does this together. I wanted to close with just giving you all, again, a tour inside the metaverse. And as such, you will just see me expand this so we can actually make sure that as we end this conference, we still have a chance to connect and interact and see what steps we can take. So as you watch inside the metaverse where we've been watching, you might be actually in a stage view looking very similar to this. Take a moment. I'm seeing the chat right now, and I would love to just see some of you lovely faces saying hi or goodbye, whether you have just joined this conference or you've been here for the whole time. It has been 3 hours and it go by so fast. So with that, the chat's here. I'm stepping away from the screen and I'm having a look of all the things that we can do while we are here. If you want to have the partnering with us, you can come and click here so you can actually get that call booked up before they are taken. And we had some wonderful people on the panel, such as the GeniusU. So for those of you who want to be part of the Global Institute for Evolutionary Women, you can actually go into the summit, find out more information there. We have Adia here, be heard, be seen, be a success, get famous in 15 minutes. Click on that. You get to discover so much more. And we even have the Shine as well as the Abundance Global, and get a chance to claim your free grace and special deals. So see, oh, I'm seeing some people are traveling around. And what I'm going to do while we have everybody in the center here, I get to see you in the metaverse. I always do this at the beginning, and we did skip this time, but I teach people about the magical button X that allows you to jump in the metaverse. So if you want to give your kind of applause to the conference, definitely hit that X button, and it will give us a chance to see that we get to interact. We're going to have a few of us still in the metaverse. And of course, if you have some more questions about all the programs, there's even some more booths around things for discovering your genius. If you just fell into our ecosystem and you haven't taken these steps, you can do that. There's more information about partnering with us and booking your call. And with that, we are ready to wrap up our partner conference. Once again, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. A big thanks to the partners who have come here to share and the speakers who have brought in some amazing insights to look at being entrepreneurs and what's happening at the cutting edge of AI development to support us in being more energized, excited, and ready to take on the challenges that are coming up in our world as well. My name is Jason Mark Campbell. It's been a pleasure to be your host. And with that, we look forward to having conversations with you, supporting you on your journey, and partnering with you as well. Take care. All the best. Thank you.